Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. This is my last, hope I'm getting tea or coffee. Hi, Lee. Hi, everybody. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, SP74. So I had scheduled these three chats, assuming that the probable cause affidavit would have been released last Tuesday, and it wasn't. So I feel like I've kind of repeated myself on the previous two, but I wanted to give people in other time zones, like last night I did it for Australia, and this morning's more for like people from Europe. So I don't know how long this is going to go, to be honest, but we'll see what happens. Hi, Copper Horse. Hi, Patricia. I'm not going to share my PowerPoints like I did in the previous two ones, so we're just kind of going to go whatever you guys want to talk about. Hi, Miranda. Hi, Illegally Blonde. Yeah, it took me like an hour to fall asleep, but I got a decent amount of sleep. Krista's been here for every single one. I don't know what I'm going to talk about that I haven't already talked about, Krista, so maybe go clean your house or something. England loves me. Thank you, Mark. Hi, Gulf War. Yeah, so my background, it was kind of sad, I guess, seeing the girls in the background. So this is a picture I took on Maui. There used to be a restaurant called Bubba Gump's, and I love when the sun, oops, here I am, Mr. Weatherman. The sun reflects on the water. So this is just looking out from a restaurant on Maui. You look thrilled as always to be live. Angela, you know me too well. Hi, Susie Q. Yeah, thank you for moderating. Does anybody want to be a moderator? Write mod. Hopefully Susie Q can handle it all. People seem to be somewhat polite to each other, I think. Fern was watching me as I appeared live. So people last night said the chat was going by too quick. So I changed it to slow mode where you have to wait 60 seconds before you can post again after you post something. Also, I made it subscribers have to, or people have to subscribe for 20 minutes. So hopefully that'll make the chat go slower. All right, this is the most important question. Eat at the after. What did you think of Mariah's Thanksgiving Day performance and outfit? Well, people were complaining that she's lip syncing, but everybody on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade lip syncs. Her outfit, it seemed like the bottom part kind of like fell off her waist, but don't tell her I said that. She looked fine. Hi, Henry. Thanks for watching. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about that I haven't already talked about. Thank you. It's a circus. It's nice to see some people from Europe able to join. Molly, hi. Can you mention the updates in the Missy Beavers case again? It was late for me, and I don't know if I caught the details. Um, can't you just watch back what I said last night? No offense, but I don't know. It took me like 2 minutes, and people are here for Delphi, and I don't know that everybody really knows about Missy Beavers. And I don't remember exactly what point I said my updates last night. So I would just say go listen on your podcast app. If you have an iPhone, look for True Crime Broads. And they've done a lot of interviews with people who know this woman who they're accusing of being the killer. Yes. Hi, Lisa. I did change my shirt. Thank you, Fadeville and Big Bird. All right, let's talk about Delphi. What do we want to talk about? Hi, Marshall. Thanks for joining. So somebody, I don't know, hold on. Nobody's really talking about Delphi in the comments for me to highlight. Hold on. Three Amigos asked me to go through the timeline from start to finish, but I mean, I don't know which timeline you're exactly talking about. That would take forever. Sandy wants to know, how likely is it that Rick's wife knew about her husband? She's standing by her man. I mean, I don't know what to think about this, because you would think that somebody who's married to somebody for 25 years would have recognized his clothes, his voice, just his body type from that video and the screen capture. I don't know. People are wondering if this other person may have been her, just not turning him in. It doesn't necessarily mean that somebody else is involved, that they were the killer. It just could have been somebody who gave a false alibi for Rick, although the wife was assumed to be at her job. She worked at a vet's office. Miranda, do you think Kagan and Tony Klein were distractions? I don't think so. I think the police were legitimately distracted and focusing on them, and then somehow Rick Allen came up maybe in August or September, and they obviously found something that made them want to search his house. They found something in his house, which led to him getting arrested. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all played out, hopefully soon. Hi, Courtney. Do you think Rick Allen is talking? Apparently, the only thing he's saying is that he's innocent. So at this point, no. I don't know if at some point the police are going to say, or the prosecutor is going to say, we're going for the death penalty. And at that point, is he going to start saying, okay, I was the guy on the bridge and I told them to go down the hill, but there was somebody else who actually stabbed them or killed them? Vanessa, what is your opinion on the details in the Ron Logan search warrant regarding the missing items, the clothes? I think people said it's a sock and an underwear from Libby, it's assumed. The staged crime scene and the non-secular items. Well, the Ron Logan document said that there were two items of clothing that were not at the crime scene, but I don't know that it really meant that they were taken away by the killer. They may have been found somewhere else. It just seems like the wording wasn't really clear. I know somebody said, maybe even in that document, that the killer may have taken a souvenir like underwear or a sock. And there's been some rumor that their hair was cut like for a souvenir. So I don't know what to think, honestly. The staged crime scene, people have gone back and forth about what is the definition of a staged crime scene. It can be something very minute or it could be very detailed. We just don't know like what it was. And non-secular items, I mean, I wonder what was in the bridge guy's jacket, because there was so much stuff that seemed to be packed in there. So it's like, did he bring something that he knew he was going to kill some girls, or he's hoping to kill some girls on the trail or sexually abuse them or something, and he left items that were in his jacket? But if it was stuff that he brought from home and that was in his jacket, how could that stuff not have his DNA on it? There was some, like I said, all these are rumors because the police haven't told us anything, but there was speculation that a cleaning agent was used after he killed them, I guess to get rid of his DNA or something like that. Hi, Brenda. I went about 2.5 hours last night, and I ended it abruptly. I had to go to bed. Hi, Maria. Thanks for joining. Hi, Alicia. What do you think about prosecutor Nick saying some of the witnesses were minors and are of age, but some were minors and still are? Yeah, I thought that was interesting. That makes me think of the CSAM/Anthony shots, because the youngest witness on, yeah, sorry, it's going to take you 60 seconds to finish your thought. But so, I mean, there's obviously been a rumor about a teenage witness passing the bridge guy or the killer on the trail. So if they were in 8th grade, they were like 14 at the time. So if 14 plus 5 is 19 for anybody who isn't good at math. Um, right? So it makes you wonder if it truly is something in the probable cause affidavit where there is somebody who's still under 18. How are they providing some kind of evidence that led to the arrest of Rick? I said last night that I'm not convinced that Rick had access to Anthony Shots or was into CSAM or knew the Kleins. So I'm still waiting to see some kind of proof that he was into CSAM or he knew the Kleins. Big Bird says, is it true that they found a knife and Abby's sweatshirt in Richard Allen's yard? That's the first that I heard of that. I don't know why he would have any kind of items from the crime scene 5.5 years later. Somebody was saying if he knew the Kleins and Kagan, as soon as Kagan was arrested, when it came out, I guess December 6, 2021, a year ago, why wouldn't he immediately have gotten rid of these items if he actually did take something, either a murder weapon, his clothes, or the girl's clothes? I mean, he has to be a huge idiot. Hi, Kate. Thanks for joining. Nani says, have you talked to Murder Sheet recently? So I did. They came on my October 6th live. They had asked me to interview me, which that we ended up doing that. And they interviewed me for like 5 minutes and I interviewed them for like an hour and 5 minutes, which is more interesting. So it's like, I don't really know them. I said previously that my only concern with the Murder Sheet was that they were releasing information that would prevent an arrest in this case. And obviously it turned out that it did not prevent that. So I have no issues with them. I know some people do, some people like them. I saw that there's a web YouTube channel called Duty Ron, and he had a Delphi themed live chat maybe 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. And he had FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer on. She's fairly famous. She said that the Ron Logan search warrant document was released by Ron Logan. So I went back and I looked, and it wasn't leaked until May of 2022 of this year, but Ron died in January of 2022. So I don't know that that was true that she said that Ron leaked it. Somebody said Ron's lawyer leaked it, but that was Aki. Sorry, I keep getting his name wrong. Who's also Kagan's public defender. Hi, Cryptex. Susie says, I wonder why they would arrest Rick if they knew there was a possible co-conspirator, possibly to weed them out. Yeah, I don't know why they did not. They said, we're still doing our investigation. It's like, why did you not wait until your investigation was over before you arrested Rick so you could release this PCA and not have people freaking out? Turtle says, just look at BTK. He was an active member of the church. No one had any clue he was like that. Not that hard to believe. Hi, this account. Do you think Rick will be so normal? What? Do you think he will be so normal overall? It's scary, like BTK kind, allegedly. I'm not sure what you mean. Turtle Lover 845 says, what do you speculate is on that 43 seconds video? Do you think there's more? Do you think it will be mentioned or shown in court? Well, this trial is highly unlikely it's going to be on TV. So we're just going to probably get the transcripts. What do I think is on it? In my first video, I did an audio analysis, and in the audio where they released it in April 2019, they added the guys at the beginning, and then it has a pause, like this static, and then it says down the hill. I feel like when it was first released, just the down the hill, it seemed like they had go down the hill, where it's like go down the hill, telling them to go down. In that second one where they added guys, and then there was like static, I turned it up and I tried to manipulate the audio. And it seems to me like Abby or some girl saying or screaming Libby. I don't know if if it's true or not, but I know some people have disagreed with me, and that's fine. So what else is on there? Some people have speculated that he tells them he has a gun, or there's a sound of a gun making a noise where he's like cocking it or whatever. There's been a recent rumor that's unconfirmed where a gun shell casing was found somewhere at the crime scene. I don't know if it was at the end of the bridge where he shows the gun or potentially showed the gun, or at the crime scene. I don't know. In my previous chat, some people were trying to like tell us about how you can find out or compare a bullet or a shell casing to somebody's specific gun. So I don't know what to think. If it's going to be released in the court, yeah, like I said, it would probably just be a transcript of whatever was on that 43 seconds video. I don't know if there's any other video that she took after that occurred. I highly doubt it. Hi, Fern. Unless Rick didn't tell his wife he was at the trails that day, I find it hard to believe she didn't get curious and look at Bridge Guy and hear his voice. It would be impossible to not know. Yeah, I agree. But if you saw this and it kind of resembled your husband, would you think your husband was capable of killing two eighth-grade girls? I mean, I would think most people would say no. And then when the FBI or the wanted poster came out, it said 18 to 40 years old. He was 44 at the time. So he did not look like the sketch. I mean, he kind of resembled it, but if that was his wife looking at it, she would say, that's not my husband. So I can kind of get how she didn't, I don't know, turn him in. And some people are wondering, did she turn him in recently? I don't think so. Hi, the lesbian historian. What are your thoughts on the evidence in the probable cause affidavit? Does the fact that witnesses need to be protected mean eyewitnesses are what led to his arrest? I don't know. I mean, it's like, did the police go back and look at this prior evidence within the past few months, like September, August? Did they say, okay, let's get a picture of Rick Allen and show it to these other people, like these teenagers, that one teenager who walked very close to him? And did she say, oh, yeah, that's the guy? And that was good enough for the judge to sign off on a search warrant of his entire house? I don't know. I don't know when this is going to be released. I don't know if it's going to be Monday, this week. Hopefully they'll give me a break from having to do live chats. Somebody tell that to the judge. Eat at the After says, I'm a trial lawyer, civil, not criminal. I was impressed with what I saw from Rick's defense attorneys. Seem like the real deal. Yeah, they seem to have some decent experience. They're both qualified for death penalty cases. I mean, they planted some doubt in my mind. Courtney says it could definitely be a conspirator for his alibi. That is the additional party. Yeah, but it's like, who gave him a false alibi? He apparently said to the conservation officer that he was there that day. I don't know. Hi, Melanie. Thanks for being here. Leah says, I found it odd that Tony Klein took down his Facebook page. Did he really? He had two Facebook pages. I know he was like backdating certain posts as of like a few months ago, which is definitely odd. I have not looked at his page recently, but I know he blocks a lot of people. So if you sent him a private message or did something, he may have blocked you. That might be why it's down. I'll have to check later. Howdy, DNA King. Brian says, do you think Rick did it or do you think it was someone else? I was definitely naive when I first looked at this case a year and a half ago. You see one guy on the bridge in this remote area, and I thought, okay, that's the killer. I mean, you hear him say, go down the hill. And so I never really thought it was possible that there were other guys waiting down the hill, or one person or more, or across the creek. But I mean, it could be possible that he was part of this plan, either with the Kleins or somebody else. And he was the one who got them to go down the hill, showing a gun possibly, maybe force them to go across the creek by themselves, although it seems kind of unlikely that he'd be like, okay, I'm not crossing the creek. I'll just point a gun at you and you have to go across. I don't know. Maybe they obviously would still not try to run. I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out soon. But it's like, why have they not arrested this other person? What kind of more evidence do they need? It just seems odd that they're like, there's somebody else, but we can't arrest them yet. Three Amigos says, why do you think Kagan and Tony went to Las Vegas and lied about it if only Rick is guilty of the crime? That's a good question. I mean, I think the murder sheet said when Kagan and Tony, they went to Vegas February 21st to the 25th. Kagan said that trip had been planned for a while, and I honestly kind of believe him. But they told police that they had been in Las Vegas on February 13th, the day of the murder. So it's like, why are you lying about that? Especially if Rick is only guilty, and if the clients had nothing to do with it, or if Kagan just said, okay, I told him that Libby might be there that weekend or that day, why has he been keeping Rick's name out of this for the past 5.5 years? I don't know. Molly says Rick's wife may have been suspicious, but she could have been too frightened of Rick. Neighbors reported hearing domestic violence from the house. I don't know. It's one possibility. Yeah, there's been a rumor that there's at least one incident where the police came over. I guess Rick was drunk. He may have had a problem with alcohol. But I don't think there's anything in any kind of court records about Rick abusing her. I mean, if you look at her Facebook up until somewhat recently, I think I don't know when her last post was. It wasn't that recent, but they seem to be fairly happy. Although, I mean, she seemed to be happy, not him. Big Bird says maybe they're trying to get Rick to flip on Tony Klein. Maybe, but it's like Tony Klein apparently gave his DNA. He said he passed a lie detector test. They have Kagan's DNA. Kagan, well, he failed his lie detector test. That's actually a good point because he, I guess, failed saying, I forget what he failed, but it was something about, do you know about the Delphi murders? And he failed that part. But I've said, it's like, how could Kagan, aka Kagokio, ever pass a lie detector test? He lies so much. Hi, Outdoor Loser. Ben says, I have heard at the very least the girls' bodies were staged. Yeah. But I mean, in which way? I mean, I've heard some really disgusting rumors about what was done to them, but we don't know at this point. This account, I think you're saying, do you think Rick may have committed prior murders? Well, some people are saying, how could a 44-year-old just randomly say, okay, I'm going to some trails today, a mile and a half from my house. I'm going to go kill some girls or a girl. Then I'm just going to come home and hope nobody in town knows it was me. I mean, obviously it worked for like 5.5 years. They now have his DNA. So maybe it's going to be interesting to see if it matches up with any other previously unsolved crimes. Patricia says Doug Carter was desperate for a suspect and he concentrated too long on the Kleins. If Kagan was involved, we would know by now. I mean, it seems like the police were looking at this at least in August 2020 when they were interviewing Kagan for CSAM. They asked a bunch of questions about Delphi. So this did seem to be like an avenue that they were looking at for quite a long time, for the past like 2 years or whatever. Copper Horse says the bridge guy's jacket looks stuffed with stuff. Yes, I agree with that. There has to be DNA on some items left at the scene, I would think. There's been various speculation. I think Tobe Lesenby at one point said they may have DNA, but it's not a great sample. I don't know if he said that exactly, but it seemed to be like there isn't a perfect DNA sample. But I guess we'll find out today or tomorrow or whenever. Sylvia. and maybe get Kagan to flip on Tony. Kagan seems like a fall guy to me, not a mastermind. You got that right. But he may have certainly overheard things or been involved, but not in charge, in my opinion. Well, it's like even if Rick was the murderer and Kagan was involved somehow, why for 5.5 years has Kagan totally denied any involvement? And why does it seem like since August, Kagan has started to say, my dad did it? It seems it's so odd to me, especially if Kagan is lying that his dad did it when maybe his dad has nothing to do with it. I don't know. Susie Q says, I wonder how long Rick saw the girls before he confronted them. Well, I think the girls arrived at the Mears parking lot at 1:38. The teenage witness apparently saw Rick or Bridge Guy by Freedom Bridge around 1:27-ish or 1:26. So in that amount of time, I said this last night. I said a lot of things last night that I'm repeating. He could have walked to that Mears parking lot. There's a park bench at that area, which that's like the perfect place if you're up to no good. You can see who just came from the bridge and the other, like the lower trail. You can see who's arriving at Mears, and you can see who's coming or going from Freedom Bridge. So he knew that nobody had come from the bridge, and he knew that the girls were like the only ones down at the bridge. So I don't know. True Crime Maria said Tony Klein's Facebook is still showing. Hi, Jodella. Aren't you in Australia? I know you're from somewhere outside of the US. Brian says, do you think a video was made? I mean, how horrible is it to kill these girls and then to take a video of it to watch back or share? I know there's been a lot of speculation that a video or photos were taken, especially since I think Robert Ives said the crime scene was such that somebody would want to take a photo or video of it. Some people have speculated that the Kleins went to Vegas to sell a video or photos of this crime scene. To me, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like I said last night, that Sin City is what Vegas is referred to as, but is it really known as a great place to go if you want to sell a phone that has horrible things like this on it? Most people just do it over the internet. Hi, Fleckenschneit. Oh my gosh. Thanks for joining from Austria. Okay. As a lawyer, the US crime cases are really interesting as stuff works really different here versus the US. Better or worse? I mean, I said last night there was a case for Amanda Blackburn. She was murdered near Indianapolis in Indiana 7 years ago, and the suspect was caught with two other accomplices within, I think, 2 weeks. He was charged within 2 weeks. And he finally just got sentenced 7 years later with his first trial. It wasn't an appeal. So it's like this case and the trial might take years. And he's going to appeal, obviously, if he's guilty or he's found guilty. Fiona Finch says, I wonder if Rick gave any descriptions of others he witnessed on the bridge to law enforcement when he reported that he was on the trails on the day of the murders. People were speculating that this other younger guy, if you know who, arguing couple guy, his initials are DP, but I'm not going to say his name because people suspected this younger guy was the killer and that he told police a lie describing an older guy, the 40-year-old, like the first sketch. So it'll be interesting to see if Rick contributed to anything to the first sketch. Copper Horse says, my thoughts is if there's more underage children who are witnesses, possibly they're tied to more catfishing tied to the suspect. I don't know. Like I said, this happened 5.5 years ago. So were there 12-year-olds on the trails that day who are still minors? Because isn't 17 a minor? Miranda says, sometimes Abby seems to get lost. Yeah, I totally agree with this. I mean, people aren't really blaming Libby I think with the whole Anthony Shots thing, people said, "Oh, well, she was the one who was chatting with Anthony Shots. Kegan and maybe somebody else committed this murder." So it was kind of on Libby. Like I said, it's not her fault, obviously. Do you think it's possible Abby was the target? I mean, I have no idea what's going on here, to be honest. There was a rumor, again, this is just a rumor, that it was so many people said Abby was pregnant, or maybe one of the girls was pregnant, and that was found out in the autopsy. Like I said, I think it's highly unlikely, but one theory I saw was that the father of the baby, like him and his dad conspired to kill Abby just because she wouldn't like go ahead with having the baby. Like I said, that's highly unlikely to me. It could have just been random. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see why Rick was out on the trails that day and what kind of motive there was for this. Suzanne says, I'm not familiar with American spelling system. R.A. confesses, could he avoid the death penalty? I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the judicial system. I would assume he would say, okay, I'm going to say I'm guilty. Just give me a life sentence. So the prosecutor does not have to worry about him possibly getting off for some other reason. Hi, Mrs. Thang. Shelley says, do you think Tony Klein is involved? They must not have anything on him. No arrest. Well, I mean, yeah, they've been looking at the Kleins since at least August or June 2020 before they arrested Kagan. They have not found anything. I know they took hair from Tony Klein's dog, which seems to indicate there may have been some kind of animal hair found at the crime scene. But you would think if that matched up, they would at least maybe arrest Tony or charge Kagan with it. Yeah, this is a similar thing. Was there cat hair on the girl's clothes? I don't know. Rick Allen did have a cat that apparently died, and there's speculation that the police, when they went to his house on October 13th for that 10-hour search, if the cat was buried in the backyard, they dug it up and maybe compared the cat's hair to any kind of animal hair found at the crime scene. Lisa says, I think it is more important that his phone, Rick's phone, wasn't in the records dump than if it had been. He would have brought his phone on a hike. Well, he lived in a mile and a half, so I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we even find out if his phone pinged in the area that day. Alicia heard that Ron gave his search warrant to Barbara McDonald. Uproar in Indiana over PCI. Yeah, I guess there's the media association in Indiana who they were hoping to testify this past November 22nd was this court date over whether it would be released. And apparently the judge changed the format where the media lawyers could not even state their case why they wanted to be released. So they seem to be not very happy. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for joining. I did this chat for Europeans, so I'm glad to see some people are able to join. Hi, Joan. There is notable friction between Doug Carter and prosecutor Nick McClelland. Watch Doug Carter. Nick was at the mic. It's kind of hard to figure out what these are about. Said all aspects of the investigation will go through him. Law enforcement conducts investigation, DA, the prosecution. All right. Yeah, I mean, they seem to thank Detective Vito during this October 31st press conference where they said, okay, we arrested Rick Allen. This is what he's charged with. They thanked so Detective Vito was the one who did Kagan's August 2020 police interview. So some people were wondering, does that mean that Kagan was involved in this? After this most recent court date, The defense lawyer said Kagan is not referenced in the PCA, which some people said he wouldn't have to be. It's just what is probable cause to arrest Rick. Leah found a pic of Tony Klein in the hospital saying something about his foot surgery could have been bothering him back in 2017. Yeah, Tony Klein has diabetes, and Kagan said that his foot got, I don't know, chopped off, but I think it's partially amputated. So it's unknown how Tony Klein walks. I've not seen a video of him walking. I don't know that it's Tony Klein on the bridge, to be honest. And it seems like the police are saying it's Rick. Big Gremlin thinks they arrested Rick early because the elections were coming up. I respectfully disagree because I don't think that the Indiana State Police are like, oh, we need to make this arrest finally after 5.5 years just because we want to somehow influence the Carroll County sheriff's election. Sorry, that's just my opinion, but you can have yours. Gulf War says, I believe that Kagan is facing so much time in prison, he would have spilled everything by now. The second person is not him or Ron Logan, it's someone else. Yeah, some people are speculating that crazy 20-year-old sketch that was released in April 2019 that everybody was confused by. Is this some random, or not random, but is this some other co-conspirator that nobody really knew about? There was a rumor that there were two like teenage boys on the trails who were wearing hoodies, but I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out soon. Miranda asks, am I going to do any live chats during the trial? Yeah. I mean, I think I would probably do a live chat every night of the trial to just review any kind of evidence that was released. Although, if it's not going to be televised, I don't know how quick a transcript would come out. So I might do that. I don't know. We'll see. But like I said, it's currently scheduled for March. Some people are wondering if Rick is going to request a speedy trial. Other people are afraid this is going to get pushed and pushed and pushed. So who knows when it's going to happen. Hi, Junior. First video didn't have guys. I heard go down the hill. Yeah. The first audio clip that was released. Patricia says there's only one perp and it's Rick, but why did the prosecution say at this week's trial or court date there's somebody else? And the defense lawyers after that came out said that's the first we ever heard of that. Kevin says law enforcement did report they have DNA, but it may be of lesser quality. It probably does not match Rick or the clients, thus the others involved theory. Yeah, we'll see. Brian says it sounds like a gun cocking in that video. I think you mean the audio from the 43-second video. And they tried to cover up the noise. What I don't understand is like, it's not that difficult to like add guys to an audio file, add silence for half a second, and then do the go down the hill. They did not have to keep in that staticky part. So I don't know. I just don't understand some of the things that law enforcement has done in this case. Thank you, Elsie. Do you think if Rick is the killer, that the murders were his idea and his plan, but he had help, or that he was more of a follower and law enforcement is just hoping to get him to crack? Well, the most recent thing, so I said the court date was November 22nd. So the day after, prosecutor Nick put out this kind of odd letter saying, thanking the judge and saying they believe they have strong evidence that Rick is involved in the murders of Abby and Libby. He didn't say that he's the murderer. So I don't know. It's like, why is this 44-year-old guy even on a trail at 2 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, planning to do something to these eighth grade girls. It's like, what did they do to deserve this? Or is he just like psycho? And I don't know, it doesn't, a lot of this stuff doesn't add up to me. So, I mean, obviously it happened. So I'm really curious to see all this evidence. Molly says Rick apparently was transferred to several different towns when he worked at Walmart. Yeah, I think somebody said he got transferred to Illinois at some point from Indiana. Did Rick live in those towns alone and commute home on days off? No idea, but I'd be interested to know. Yeah, I've never seen anything. I mean, somebody online said they worked with Rick at CVS in Delphi, and then apparently another person said Rick worked at a CVS in Peru at the time of the murders, but it seems to be some like different discrepancies online about people saying that they worked with him and where and when. And while I'm on that topic, somebody said that it was kind of known that Rick had a problem with alcohol and may have gone to rehab. There was an early speculation when this was first announced that Rick was involved that he checked himself into a mental institution within 30 days of the murders. And I mean, like I said, a lot of this stuff is just rumors. I think the most recent thing I've seen is that he maybe went to rehab in 2015, but who knows? True Crime Maria says, I wonder if law enforcement needs Rick to talk in order to find the other actor or actors. Maybe his refusal to cooperate pushed his arrest so they can try bargaining with him to get the info they need. Yeah, but it's like, what other info do they need? I don't know. Outdoor Loser says, I've always found it odd that Bridge Guy had all that stuff jammed inside his coat. If it was a planned attack, wouldn't you just get a backpack? Maybe he didn't have a backpack. Yeah, I mean, the stuff in his jacket was crazy, and it obviously indicates something was planned. Ben says every gun leaves specific grooves on a bullet, I believe. Well, the rumor is that a shell casing, which is different than a gun, was found. Some people were nice enough to share their gun and bullet and shell casing knowledge on my November 22nd live chat, but I forget it already. Again, that's just a rumor. I'm not sure if it's true. Joan does not believe Kagan served 2 years in jail already to benefit Rick. I feel there's a motive to this now, not sexual. One or both girls presented a threat to someone. Kelsey German didn't know about Anthony Schatz, but Max did. I don't know who Max is. Hi, Jerry Lynn. Anna says 43 seconds of video is actually longer than we imagine. There is a historic 43 seconds of film that shows quite a bit of activity. This video shows daily life. Well, I think at the beginning, we don't know exactly when Libby started this video. He was, I think, 60 feet away on the bridge when he was captured on that video. So I think she saw him, got concerned, said, I'm going to push record. Maybe when he was looking down, she like pointed it at him real quick, and then she put it back down or in her pocket. And then it's going to take him, I don't know, what, 15, 20 seconds to walk that other 60 feet. I don't know how she turned it off, though, at the end of the 43 seconds. Hi, Patty. Patty says you can see a shape of a gun in the jacket on the bridge in the pocket or holding it under jacket. Yeah, there's an interesting thing protruding. I guess if you're looking at the bridge guy, it's on the left side of his jacket. But it seems like an odd place to like keep a gun. People were wondering if he had a gun in his because his right arm on the bridge is kind of sticking out further. So people were wondering if he was holding a gun in there. Hi, Cleveland Steamer. Has anyone here looked into any of the other missing children cases in the surrounding areas to see if any similarities there are? I don't know, but people have said there's so many CSAM cases in that area. It's kind of crazy. Although another person said, actually, Indiana is at the lower end of the United States in the total number of CSAM arrests. Cleveland says, it bothers me that there's a lack of information for the crime scene with this case. While I understand it is necessary, it makes it hard to sleuth and put things together. Yeah. Like I said, I've heard quite a few horrible things that were possibly done to the girls, but I mean, there were some texts that were leaked early on, but somebody said, I guess it was Abby's uncle who may have seen the crime scene or heard about it. He said that Libby fought like hell or something like that, but then the Ron Logan document said there was no signs of a struggle. So I'm not sure that those texts were correct, although I think that guy later confirmed that he did send those and somebody took a screenshot and shared them online. Junior says no one knows the truth about any of this. Why speculate? Because we're interested and we don't know any facts. It's like, what else are we going to do? I mean, I get your point, but people have been waiting so long to find out the facts of this after everybody's speculating for millions of hours and over 5.5 years. Patty says Rick killed the girls with a knife, though. Autopsy showed different times of death. I heard, not vetted. Some people have said that Libby or Abby survived the night. I don't think that's true. Hi, Boost Mobile. A lot of killers or even serial killers will keep souvenirs of their victims for their own enjoyment. There are many serial killers that will keep souvenirs even in their own home. That's crazy to me. And if it turns out that he did do that and it led to his getting arrested, then I'm glad he did it. Patricia says for Rick to talk and implicate someone else, he would first have to confess to something, and I can't see that happening. Yeah, as of now, he's saying he's innocent to his lawyers and I guess the police. Georgina says, have you tried snooping into the Anthony Shots account or any of the other names mentioned in with that account? Not really. I mean, I did a 4.5 hour deep dive on Kagan Klein and his dad, and I mean, I don't know that I really found anything about Anthony Shots. Some people have speculated that Kagan was sharing the Anthony Shots login with Rick or other guys. I've not seen any evidence to support that. And if Kagan was sharing these chats, you would think that when he logged back in, he would see the previous chats. Like if he said, okay, Rick, I'll give you access to Anthony Shots, and Rick logged in from his home in Delphi when to chat with Libby or something and get her to go to the bridge, you would think that Kagan would log back in and just see the most recent chats that Rick was having with these other girls. So I'm not sure that that's true that Kagan had sold access to the Anthony Shots account. Do you live on the ocean? No, this is from Maui from a few years ago. Hi, Carrie. If your husband and father of your children is a decent guy throughout marriage, it is horribly disloyal to think of him doing a double homicide of young girls. Well, she might not have seen Rick's wife might probably hasn't even seen the evidence against Rick at this point. So it'll be interesting to see if she stands by him or I mean, I'm sure she's freaking out at this whole thing. I really want to know what they were talking about during this 10-hour search of their home and what he was really thinking if he's involved, which it seems like he is. They do all leave rifle markings on the shell casing except shotgun shells, but Glock handguns all have the same mark that they leave, so it's difficult to tell with a Glock or which Glock. Hi, Kindness Cake. Do you think it is a plus or a minus in terms of case details that Rick's lawyers have stated they know very little thus far? I mean, so what? It's November and the trial's in March. Is this the only case that they're working on? I don't know that they're going to be prepared for March. I don't know how long they're able to keep pushing the trial further out just to be prepared for it. Hi, Indigo. Joan says the forensic team should have been able to tell if more were at the crime scene. They had footprints, could have released size as well in 6 years. Well, if the girls and the killer both went across the creek and up, you would think that, or would hope that police went down there to see which kind of footprints may have come up that were recently in the mud down there, because it seemed to be quite an incline to get from the south side of the creek to the north. So I don't know. I was saying before that it's possible that Rick was the guy on the bridge and just stopped at the edge of the creek and said, "You guys have to cross over to that other guy." So there would not be like male footprints on the north side of the creek if, like, for example, Tony Klein was over there. Like, I'm not saying Tony Klein was over there, but I'm just saying another person was over there. Maybe that other person also had a gun. I don't know. This is so crazy to me. Junior says Rick's attorneys are very experienced and better lawyers than the prosecutor. It wouldn't surprise me if the case is weak. Yeah, but I mean, the Indiana State Police also said, okay, we feel like we have enough evidence to go forward. I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping they have something good that's going to end up with a conviction if he's really involved. Fern says, I really don't think Rick is connected to the clients, but still find it so odd that Kegan Googled things like how long does DNA last? Well, Kegan Googled that on February, I think the night of February 25th or soon after. That was his interview where they did take his DNA that day. So it's not like he searched that on February 13th after he committed the murders or something. And also, I was saying, if Kagan was involved and he somehow used Anthony Schatz to get Libby to the bridge, wouldn't he have deleted his Anthony Schatz account immediately? I mean, he was still using it. That night, he got a message from Libby's Instagram or her Snapchat when Kelsey was at the police station. So, I mean, you would think if he was involved in the murders, like, wouldn't he freak out that the girl that he just murdered a few hours ago just sent him a message? I don't know. It's so confusing. Kevin says if Rick is involved, it would be imperative for him to implicate the others. Otherwise, he's facing the death penalty. Why not talk and make a plea? I don't know. I mean, maybe as time goes by and he talks more to his new lawyers, maybe at some point he'll start talking. But I'm curious to know how he's denying whatever evidence the police felt was good enough to arrest him. Jodella says Rick's body doesn't look the same as the picture on the bridge. I mean, Rick's face does not match up to the various faces that show up in that bridge guy video. His body, I can't see his body being that same guy. Molly says, is it true that Kegan, through the Anthony Schatz profile, was sending money to Libby through Venmo or similar? It's a rumor I've heard, not sure if verified. Well, in his police interview in 2020, they said, we have the money account going to Libby. I think that's the exact quote. Some people thought, oh, well, they just mean that Kegan or Anthony Schatz profile, Kegan posted pictures of $100 bills, and that's what they mean by the money account. But that's something I really want to know. It's like, why was Kegan sending money to Libby? It seemed like Libby did not know that she was being catfished by Kegan through Anthony Schatz. And I don't think she went there to the bridge that day thinking that Anthony Schatz was going to be there. Obviously, the police said that Kagan told Libby's friend I was supposed to meet her, but she did not show up. But nowhere in that police interview was it specified which day and which location he was supposed to meet her at, where she didn't show up. Leah says their red vehicle was seen at the gas station that day, wasn't it? I don't know that sometimes these rumors, some people think it's fact, and I'm not criticizing you. So Tony Klein has a red Jeep. The gas station you're referring to is a Marathon gas station in Delphi, which the murder sheet said on the day of the murders, Kagan searched for the Delphi Marathon gas station, which nobody really knows why he would have done that. Was he meeting Rick there, since it was somewhat close to Rick's house? So no, there is no confirmation that the red Jeep was at that gas station. Murder sheet also said that the FBI lost or was not able to get the surveillance video from that gas station on the day of the murders. Is it congratulations or condolences? But thank you, Holly. Patty says, I would like to see just one pic of Mr. Allen smiling. I agree with you. It's like, I've not seen a picture of him showing his teeth. Somebody in last night's chat said they did see a picture of Rick smiling and he's missing teeth. Somebody needs to show me that picture. Oh my gosh. Kegokio, there's no N, but thank you. Lied again by saying he was at grandma's on the 13th when his phone was on Country Club Road. Yeah, I mean, so the police said, we know you were on Country Club Road on the afternoon of the murders watching adult movies on your phone. So why is Kagan apparently telling people he was waiting in the red Jeep in Delphi? I mean, this stuff, it just does not add up to me. Anna says this case was built in reasonable doubt with Kagan, Tony, and former FBI all over media insisting Ron Logan is still the best suspect. I doubt they'll try for the death penalty. We'll see. Pam, the profiler, I've never heard of her, on YouTube thinks the personality it would take committing this type of murders usually works alone. She seems to know a thing or two. Have you seen her channel? No, I have not. Lisa says the domestic violence call, they came to ensure that Rick went to the hospital because he had alcohol poisoning. How do you know that? Did a neighbor tell that or something? Hi, Bill. Thank you. It's Lahaina on Maui in Hawaii. Hi, Cold Truth. Thank you. So Ben said, hands folded was what I heard. I shudder to think about more. Yes, I'm a half hour behind in comments. Sorry. I think what you're referring to is the crime scene. Like I said, there's been so much speculation. Some people said Abby was found like propped up against a tree with her hood over her face and maybe her arms crossed against her chest or something like that. I don't know what to think. I mean, you would have thought that they would have found them if her body was upright and not covered with leaves. So I don't know. Hi, Casey Jakes. Thanks for joining. Go work on your book later. Hi, thanks for joining from Sweden. Chancer says staged and posed are different. Staged is to make it look like an accident or frame someone else. Posed is where they leave it to sicken the people that find it or take pics, etc. Yeah, the Ron Logan document said their bodies were staged and moved. Some people have speculated how far did he move them, and like did he'd take them away during the afternoon and then bring them back during the night? I don't think so. The document also said they were killed somewhat near where they were found because there was a lot of blood there. Sling and Lead says Rick may not have known all the evidence they have against him yet. Goody's Gumdrop says Rick's attorney mentioned podcasters when talking about the PCA. Are you sure they was talking about the PCA, or was he just saying, I've received quite a few emails or something from various people saying that they have evidence that Rick is not involved? But I mean, are these people who think Ron Logan was on the bridge? Sorry. Yeah, I don't think it was Ron Logan on the bridge. And good luck to Rick's attorneys getting a lot of these tips. K Money, welcome back. Seems like he killed due to fear of being identified, same as Idaho killings. I'm almost certain he killed the other roommates. Are you talking about the Idaho case or Delphi? Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you're talking about Rick or not. Anna says a big thing about Kagan's interrogation is that they were trying to implicate his dad, not him. Think about that. I mean, I agree with you. It seemed like they were saying they wanted him to somehow turn on Tony. And the murder sheet has been saying that Tony had been the focus of the investigation over the past few months. Big Bird thinks Richard Allen is going to flip on Tony Klein to escape the death penalty, and Tony Klein's going to get the death penalty. I mean, obviously, if you've followed this case, you know Tony has a history of violence, and including against children. And he apparently hooked up with minor females. So, but I've not seen anything really that says Tony was involved in this. No, I went to sleep for a while. Susie said they said there were several signatures left behind. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious if those played into the staging, or does law enforcement believe the signatures are genuine? If so, the possibility of a serial offender is much higher. Yeah, I'm curious to know what these signatures were. I don't know if it definitely means that physical objects or just like, I don't want to say the vibe of it, but just the way it looked. Sandy wants to find out what Rick Allen's internet history will reveal in court. Some people are like, did he watch my videos? I mean, there's no real online presence for Rick that anybody has been able to find, like any profiles other than looking upset on his wife's Facebook photos. I don't know. Junior believes Rick's lawyer when he said they have a weak case. The first thing a lawyer asks a client is, are you guilty? And I need to know the truth so I can defend you properly. They seem to believe him. Well, I mean, I said I was concerned that the defense lawyer came out and said things that were kind of concerning, and people said, oh, well, he's obviously not going to come out and be like, y'all, homeboy is so guilty, I don't want to defend him. So they have to say things. I mean, even if they're going to look like idiots, I don't know. What other things could they say? Miranda says Kagan is probably mad at his dad because Tony's not putting money in his commissary, but I think he was for a while. And obviously in, I don't know, one of his interviews, he said that his dad and he were not talking, but they are talking. I think the murder sheet said they stopped talking again in August, a few days before Kagan apparently told them to go look in the Wabash River. Alicia says she thinks that police want Richard to confirm to confirm Kagan's allegation that Tony was the killer because Kagan lies so much. That's a good point, Alicia. Mark says he thinks Kagan is enjoying the limelight. He's finally getting some attention, but why would he start lying to the police saying, okay, go look in the Wabash River. There's a phone and a knife there. Police spend 5 weeks and apparently they didn't find a phone and a knife. So it's like, do you really want to upset the police by sending them on these wild goose chases to go search fire pits at his grandma's house and all this other stuff? I don't know. I just don't understand it. Big Bird says Rick is tucked away until February. His next court date is, I think, February 17th, which will also determine if he gets bail or bond, which it seems kind of long to me to make him wait 3 months. Why can't they decide earlier? Let me reread what you said. Rick is tucked away until February until they get all the dirt they need on him. And that means checking databases state to state, international. They're going to find it all. So he's tucked away. All right. Missing and lost. Did you ever suspect the former mayor, Shane Evans, of being the guy on the bridge? No. So Shane Evans is now the second prosecutor in the line. I guess he works for prosecutor Nick. So Shane Evans is working on this case. Anna says Kagan's maximum penalty has only been reduced to 70 years. If he witnesses for the prosecution against Rick, maybe they'll knock off a year for every truth he is able to tell. I saw something where I think Kagan was expecting to get 4 to 6 years in a plea deal. I don't know about that. K Money says Kagan is not physically fit to access where the girls were left, so you don't think he could have crossed the creek? And yeah, I don't think it's Kagan on the bridge. I might be wrong. However, Rick was an avid hiker. How do you know that? I'm not saying you're wrong, but yeah, I'm curious to know if his wife was like, oh yeah, Rick would frequently go to the trails on a Monday afternoon by himself. I don't know. Kagan says, why? Oh, sorry. Alicia says, don't be mad at me, Alicia. Why would they be willing to make a deal with Kagan if he wasted 5 weeks of ISP's time, money, and resources? I think they'd really stick it to him. Well, apparently the negotiations were off and they were on in August. They broke down in September or early October, and now they're back on as of November 9th. Kagan delayed his trial until May. And it says they're in negotiations. I don't know what they're negotiating. Lee says all 3 of them were hunters. I don't know that Kagan was. I mean, he was an online predator. That's not funny. Sorry. This account says she thought that former prosecutor Ives' comments about items you take photos of implied something physical was left at the scene and less emphasis on actual photos being taken. Molly says she's heard that attorneys also say they don't ask a client if they're guilty or not. If a client tells them that they're guilty, the attorney cannot present the case as a client being innocent, I believe. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with watching Law and Order SVU. Hi, USA Libertarian. Law enforcement would have done better by never saying anything. What are you talking about? The most recent updates? They've hardly told us anything over 5.5 years. Susie says, "What if we're missing something? What if the phone has more plan than we think? What if they went to Vegas with a buyer already in mind for anything they had?" Well, Tony was friends with some guy, Jan something. He died recently. Um, I don't know. Some people have speculated that this former police officer could have been involved, who lived in Vegas, and that they went there to maybe ask him for help on how to avoid getting charged for CSAM or something. I don't know that that's true. I looked online for that guy's obituary, Jan. I forget what his name was. Not Crandall, something like that. And he had worked after, I guess he had retired from the police force. He worked at Chrysler in Kokomo, which is where Tony also worked. So I guess that's how they knew each other. Big Bird says when they arrest Tony Klein, Doug Carter is going to look at the camera and say, "Today's the day." But he said that when they arrested Rick Allen on October 31st. Gulf War was not going to mention this, but decided to. How do you all feel about the fact that Libby's uncle, Cody, her adopted uncle, I guess, was next door neighbors with Rick Allen from 2006 to 2008? I mean, I've seen a lot of people speculating about this Cody guy. I've not really looked into him that much. I just don't think there's anything that shows he's involved. I know there was some odd Facebook post the day after the murders. He said something inappropriate. I think maybe his friends, I don't know the exact quote, so I don't want to spread false stuff. Like his friend said something about she's 14 years old, bro, and Cody, Libby's uncle, the day after the murders, replied on Facebook like, I only, it's not appropriate to say, but something like I only had sex with her once or something. I don't know. It's not really believed that he was talking about Libby or Abby or something like that. So no, I don't think Cody is involved in this or anybody in the Patty family. Judy always felt like Bridge Guy had help that day. Well, Judy, it looks like you're right. But to what extent? We'll find out. K Money says Rick gave a bogus story and the police scratched their heads wondering why he'd lie. He had something to hide, obviously, but why would he even admit to being on the trails that day? Obviously, because people would say, "Oh, I saw him," but he said that maybe he was on the bridge, but he did not see Abby and Libby. But it makes you wonder. It's like, why did police not look into him further? Robert Ives said something. This is paraphrased. There were unusual physical aspects of the crime scene that you would definitely take pictures of. Yeah, we'll see what it was. Hi, Purdue. Thanks, but I'm so far behind and I can't make you a mod because I'm in StreamYard and I can't do it through this interface. Sorry, but thank you. Hopefully, people are being polite in the chat. Yeah, I was not trying to spread a rumor. Judy, I don't know that Abby was pregnant. I'm just saying that that has been a rumor that one of the girls was pregnant, and people wondered if a possible motive could have been the girl refused to like have an abortion, and the guy who got her pregnant and their father somehow conspired to kill them. I guess people were just trying to figure out what possible motives there could have been. Good point. Goodies gumdrops. What about the ski mask guy in the window the next day? Actually, it was the next week. So the murders happened the Monday afternoon, the 13th. Monday afternoon, February 20th, some girl who had been chatting with Anthony Schatz also said that she gave him her address and said, my parents won't be home until later on after I get home from school. So come over and we'll hook up, which the fact like an eighth grade girl is trying to hook up with a 19-year-old guy is crazy to me. So was that Rick in the ski mask? People have wondered, was it Kegan or Tony? Was it Rick? And why? I don't know. How does this all connect? I don't know. I told, or not I told, but I know law enforcement said don't submit tips suggesting how we should do our job. But I thought, why not search who used like Waze or like an iPhone map for directions for that girl's home address? Because on like February 19th or 20th, the day before or the day of, because it's like the only person who would have searched her address would have been the guy who ended up there in the ski mask. So I don't know. Big Bird says Rick had full control over the photo lab at CVS. God knows what that man created out of video, pictures, etc. Yeah, so it's been confirmed that after the murders, I think Libby's aunt went to the local CVS where Rick worked, and they wanted, I guess, maybe enlarged photos of Libby for her memorial or her wake or something like that. And Rick was the one who waited on Libby's aunt, and he said, "There's no charge for this." Some people have speculated, why would he not charge her? And apparently, maybe if it's for funeral photos, the CVS said, we're not going to charge people for it in general. Outdoor Loser says, how likely is it that Rick Allen was online catfishing with Kegan when he didn't even have a social media presence? He doesn't really seem like the type of guy to really be on Twitter. Unless maybe he erased it all after the murders. Yeah, that's true. I mean, hopefully the police are going to look into what was going on from their modem or whatever in the Allen house for the past few years. LF 1218 is a criminal justice major. Yes, Rick could still get the death penalty if he pleads guilty. It has happened. All right, thank you. Hey, girl. Hey. But he could avoid the death penalty with a confession. I guess we'll find out. I don't know that they're going to even go for that. I think he should get the death penalty. If whoever did this to them, I don't think they deserve to live. Sorry. Patty says that Rick's wife worked at a vet. It can be any kind of animal hair. Yeah, but what kind of object would she or could have the hair have gotten or transferred onto Rick's clothes from her work? I don't know. I'm sure somebody's gonna say like in the clothes dryer or something. I don't know. Leah says animals in the woods have hair as well. Yeah, so this is in the woods. It's possible that any kind of animal hair could have been in the leaves, like I don't know, a raccoon or something, a skunk, or a deer. I mean, that's how the girls were found. Apparently, there were deer near their bodies. I mean, you could assume that over the prior few decades, it could have various animal hair could have fallen. It's not necessarily like they were on the girls' bodies. What are your thoughts on when the PCA will be released? I have no clue. I'm not going to pretend like I do. The prosecutor submitted his redacted version, so I know the judge is probably, I don't want to say she's scared, but it's like either way, if she releases it or not, all hell is going to break loose. Alicia wonders if the non-secular item is the cross that was on their cat's collar that you can see in some of the pictures on Richard's wife's Facebook. Well, Was that before or after the murders, Alicia, that she posted that? Ivana says, I think they were all acquainted with each other. Delphi seems very small not to know each other's business. I don't know if you're talking about the Kleins and Rick. So the Kleins live in Peru, which I think is it 35 minutes? It's about a half hour from Delphi. And people said that Rick grew up in Mexico, Indiana, which is right next to Peru, Indiana. But Rick and Tony Klein are 4 years apart. I agree with you, Judy. I'm a little worried about this case, and I keep telling myself that law enforcement would not have arrested him without proof. Let's keep telling ourselves that. Purdue RN says, I think they will charge Kagan after his CSAM trial. They will not want his jury to know about murder charges, in my opinion. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, but now his trial is May. But like I said, he's currently in negotiation. So who knows if it's negotiations for his CSAM or possibly giving up some Delphi information. Junior was charged with a very serious felony, which was dropped. The attorney's first question was, are you guilty? And I need to know the truth. And if I find out you've lied, I'll drop the case. Not to get into your business, but it's like, how were you charged? Like, what was your probable cause affidavit that they thought you did it? And were you actually innocent? Maybe you shouldn't answer that. I have a lot of criminals who are my subscribers. That's a joke, sorry. I agree with you, Alicia. Rick's attorneys are really good and experienced. I hope prosecutor Nick is getting some experienced help as well. A lot of people are concerned that he's not capable of successfully going through with this trial and getting a conviction. So you'd have to imagine that the Indiana State Police or whatever are going to give him as much help as he needs. Little Butterball, did you have a Butterball for Thanksgiving? Do you think that Rick's defense claim of you got the wrong guy is strategic to force the prosecution to present more evidence in court or to actually attempt to be able to bail out? I don't know. I mean, I think their full evidence is not going to be released to us, at least until the trial. I think they have to, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like I said, I'm not sure about how all this like trial stuff works. There's something called discovery, which I guess is where the prosecution has to share all their evidence with the defense because they can't like spring something on them just during the trial. But I'm not sure. Thank you, Cincinnati girl. Molly says law enforcement may have purposely not mentioned Kagan in the PCA. If that went public, everyone would say that the arrest is worthless because Kagan is a known liar. Okay, that's true. So they'd have to have additional evidence for the PCA. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Rose says the bail hearing is only for mini trial. We'll get a lot of info. Yeah, I mean, there was some speculation at first, which I shared because somebody said their husband had access to the Indiana State court records on the day this all became public on October 28th. And that person told me Rick's birth date, which ended up being true. And so they also shared that his bond or whatever to get out of jail was $20 million, which later, I guess on the 31st, during the press conference, they said he has no bond, so he can't get out. And there's been some filings where they're trying to get him out. Like I said, that trial date, I guess, is February 17th. Smash that like button. If Rick's defense team really believes he is the wrong guy, they would have filed habeas corpus, produce the person, and prove you had the right to detain. But they wait for a bail decision in February. I've heard of habeas corpus, but I don't know what it is. Ronan asked, has anyone online who knows Rick confirmed that they think the voice of Bridge Guy sounds like him? I know people have pulled audio of Rick talking and compared it to Bridge Guy, but the quality is too poor to tell. Yeah, I have not seen anything, and I'm really interested to see. I said this last night, but do people who are his friends or family have pictures or video prior to February 2017 where Rick is wearing similar clothes to this, like the similar blue jacket? I know in his wife's Facebook video where she snuck up on him, he seems to be wearing some type of blue jacket, but it's not for sure that it matches what the Bridge Guy's wearing. Hi, King. Can someone bring me up to speed? Isn't it unclear if he actually did it? Yeah, I mean, it's unclear because the police have not released any kind of evidence, and like I said, the prosecutor said he's involved in the murders. He did not say that he's the murderer. But apparently, on October 28th, when the family said that today's the day, they showed a picture of like the Bridge Guy sketch and they said he was arrested and like whatever. So it seems to be like the police did tell the family that Rick Allen is at least the guy on the bridge. So whether he was the one who actually committed the act of murder or was just like an accessory or whatever, that remains to be seen. This number seems to keep going up. Jodella says, do we know if the 12 people told they saw Rick on the trails the day of the murders, was that before his arrest or after? Previously, I heard it was 10 people placed Rick at the on the trails that day, which has only come out in the past week or the past few days. So yeah, I'm curious to know, were there people on the trails who said at some point when this first happened, yeah, I kind of saw a guy, and then once they finally saw Rick's mugshot, did they say, oh yeah, that really did look like the guy I saw on the trails that day? And then they went back to police at some point to say, yeah, I think that was Rick that I saw. Hi, armchair observer. Hi, Bonnie. How was your celery for Thanksgiving? Megan says, what do you honestly think is going on if you had to speculate on it? I have no clue. I'm not going to act like I do, to be honest. Rose says, Mike Patty looks like Bridge Guy and sounds like him, but I do not think it is him. Just saying a lot of people could be Bridge Guy. I mean, there's been at least 15 guys who have been accused of being the Bridge Guy and the murderer, and it's like none of them over the past 5.5 years was Rick. Like nobody was really talking about this guy. And I know some people have accused Mike Patty of being the guy on the bridge, but if Libby's grandfather was walking towards them, whatever is on that 43-second video, it would not indicate that it was her grandfather. Like she would be like, "Hi, Grandpa," instead of whatever is actually on it. So I've never believed that Mike Patty was involved. Molly says Rick would probably be smart to request a speedy trial, and they'd have to let him have that, I believe. They may not have trial ducks in a row, and he would have a better shot for not guilty. You might be right. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what his new lawyers suggest is his best way to not get the death penalty for this. Anna says that very few people who know Rick have said anything online. One former classmate said he had a distinctively slow voice, not stupid, as she said, but distinctively slow. Junior wants to know who the source is that said Rick talked to the conservation officer. Somebody on Reddit. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, nobody from law enforcement is saying facts for us to exactly know. This account wants to know why would Rick on the bridge even cock the gun, and why wait to add guys anyhow to the sound file? Yeah, I don't know why police, like 2 years later, said, okay, we still haven't solved this. Let's add this one word to see if somebody recognizes the voice just saying guys. Why would he cock the gun? I guess to intimidate the girl. So it's, I guess the assumption is that he walks up to them, I don't know, to intimidate them, pulls out a gun. What, I don't even know like what cocking a gun is. I guess he had a handgun, and people said, okay, he tried to intimidate them by saying, like, do what I say or I'm going to shoot you, which nobody heard any gunshots. All right, I'm now 50 minutes behind on comments. Sorry. The static in between the audio must mean something. But what? I really feel like I hear Abby screaming Libby. And if you go to the Indiana State Police website and look for the audio file and like wear earbuds to hear it better and turn it up between guys and down the hill, you'll hear static. And to me, it really does sound like a young girl, like panicked and saying Libby. But I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Sorry. Alicia says, I also find it odd that the only court date of Kegan's that was not continued since we found out about him a year ago is the one after Rick Allen's house was searched and prior to his arrest. I'm confused, Alicia. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, I blame everybody who subscribed after my first video, or else we wouldn't be here right now. Rose still thinks it's revenge for what Derek did. Well, what did Derek do? Derek German is Libby's dad. And there was speculation a possible motive was that he had a drug problem, and apparently this is really confusing. The one potential scenario people thought was Derek German apparently got in trouble with the law. This Ashley Garth woman who was involved with Derek Kurtz, and they later ended up murdering at least one person, possibly two. The rumor was that Derek German, Libby's dad, maybe told police something about Ashley Garth and her son got taken away. So a motive was that to get revenge on Libby's dad was to kill Libby. And I mean, what would this have to do with Rick Allen? Like, I don't understand what you mean, Rose. Ivana says that Rick was jealous of Kegan talking to Libby. I mean, I've not seen any evidence that Rick was talking to Libby. Maligator thinks it's crazy how much Libby looks like Rick's daughter around the same age. Yeah, and especially she was wearing Rick's daughter. There's a photo on Rick's wife's Facebook where she's wearing a tie-dye shirt, which may have been like a memorial T-shirt to Libby and Abby. What was I going to say? I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh yeah, but Libby was apparently killed while wearing her tie-dye shirt. If you've seen a lot of pictures of Libby, I'm sure you've seen the tie-dye shirt. When she got out of the car, her sister Kelsey said, you have to put on a sweatshirt. So she pulled out a random sweatshirt from the back of Kelsey's car, and it was a black and gold Delphi swimming sweatshirt. Paper Chaser says, I'm totally convinced that law enforcement's story, which this is just a rumor, I think this is what Murder She said, that they found Rick by going back through old leads is just law enforcement throwing the clamoring public a bone to gnaw on while they continue their real investigations. I mean, yeah, but why did 5.5 years go by without them looking into Rick previously? I'm really interested to find out how this all played out. Welcome back, Gangster Computer Con. I don't think it would be odd for anyone to be at the park on that particular day. It was so unusually warm. Anyone who lives through the Midwest winters gets outside the second the weather warms. Yeah, but I mean, it's like a Monday afternoon. The high was 42 or 43 degrees. So it's like, why is Rick, a 44-year-old guy, trying to get exercise? 44-year-old guys are not supposed to be out exercising. I'm kidding. And with his jacket, like stuff with stuff, yeah, he was up to no good. Oh my gosh. I shared my PowerPoints last night. I don't currently have any spreadsheets about Delphi. Move Clock says you have to have evidence to hold anyone past 20 or 72 hours. So, I mean, he was arrested, I guess, on the 26th, and they announced it on the 28th. So people are concerned that the prosecutor might be not proceeding by the law, and it's going to end up with some kind of not guilty verdict. Hi, Night Eyes. Thank you for joining. Charmaine says it's quite simple. Either law enforcement have proof that Rick killed the girls or not, but I feel law enforcement think that more people are involved. Yeah, I don't know. We don't know what they have. Obviously, they thought they had enough to search his house, and then they found something that was good enough to get a judge to sign off on arresting him. Big Bird says, just think, Rick has sat for almost 6 years watching the entire world hunt for him. Yeah, it's crazy because all these Delphi businesses, including the CVS where he worked at and that bar that he got photographed in, had either the sketch of the killer, the younger or the older one at some point, plus the screenshot from the video where it's apparently Rick on the bridge, like at his place of work. I mean, it's so crazy to me. USA Libertarian says 65 feet takes 20 to 30 seconds to walk on the bridge. So 13 to 23 seconds or so of the interaction was captured on the 43-second video. Ronan says, do we think Rick did all the moving and staging directly after the fact, or he went home and came back later on, maybe posing as a searcher to do more stuff at the scene to cover his tracks? That's a good point, but would he really risk that? I mean, who knows? It might be possible. I mean, Sheriff Tobe Lesenby called off. They, I guess, ordered some canine dogs to come in when the girls had not yet been found to try and maybe find their scent, which it would have been interesting to see how that all played out. And did Rick walk from the crime scene either to CPS building or a car, or did he walk home? And if the dogs picked up his scent and walked to Rick Allen's house, could this have been solved on February 14th? Rose says Rick walked that trail a lot. Could have his DNA everywhere out there. Whoops, I shouldn't have given you that face. Like, is his DNA really shedding all over those trails? And how do you know that he walked it a lot? Yeah, he did live 1.5 miles, but like I said, is he really out there getting exercise all the time? Libby was selling her pictures or something to Kegan to be receiving money from him. That's like everything, that's speculation. Don't be mad at me, Rose. That's my honest reaction to what you said. Feel free to unsubscribe so we can get back down to 12,000 people. This is a good point. Maligator says, and Rick does have a concealed carry permit, so we know he has a gun. I think that was from like 2008 and it expired, but obviously if it expires, nobody's really like throwing out the gun. So yes, Rick did have some kind of gun. Oh, this was the Max from before. Max is a boy who was asked to go to the trail, but he said no that day. That was a rumor. I mean, there was another rumor about the younger guy on Bicycle Bridge Road. There was some kind of search warrant within the first few days of a house on Bicycle Bridge Road in Delphi. And I mean, it turned out to be nothing. Some people speculated, I think, that there was a teenage boy there who had been chatting online with Libby. And maybe Libby's aunt or something said they saw him on the train tracks, not on the actual bridge, but somewhere near the crime scene on the day of the murders, or I don't know. I'm sure I'm getting something wrong, but that was just what that popped into my mind. Gulf War. I don't know what Joan said. Sorry. And sorry for everybody whose comments I haven't gotten to yet. Maybe this was not sexual. Here's a question. What was Richard Allen's financial situation at the time of the murders? Was he in debt? Apparently, he bought his house in 2006 in all cash. I think it was approximately $160,000. And people said that his mom and his stepdad are somewhat wealthy. Also, there was some kind of rumor when this all came out about Rick that he may have been in some kind of medical malpractice suit and he may have gotten some kind of cash for that. So I don't know. I mean, he was a shift manager at CVS and his wife was, she worked at a veterinarian's, but she's not a vet herself, I don't think. Lisa says, since Libby was talking to Anthony Schatz at least since December 26th, I think it makes Kegan's involvement with Rick even less likely. Yeah, I don't know exactly. I thought in the August 2020 police interview with Kegan, he said he first talked to them around the 1st of February, possibly or probably at some kind of sleepover where maybe this other girl who was chatting with Kegan introduced Libby to this attractive Anthony Schatz guy, and then Libby, I guess, started communicating with him herself. But I did see some kind of screen capture where Anthony Schatz liked one of Libby's Instagram posts, I think from late December. I think you're talking about December 26th of 2016. I don't know what to say about that. Brian says, what is said is in Bridge Guy's front left jeans pocket is the outline of a toilet bottle cleaner. So yeah, I guess that's when I was talking about a possible cleaning agent being brought to the crime scene to wipe any kind of DNA. Armchair Observer says, in my honest opinion, this was a planned catfish setup to murder. Bridge Guy says, guys down the hill, as though the next sentence is, and don't make me tell you again. As a parent, I recognize the implied tone. Yeah, I mean, some people have speculated that he's like, there's either guys down the hill, like referring to, like, look over there, there's some guys down the hill, but we don't know exactly at what point guys came in. Was it possibly after go down the hill? I speculated that he said go down the hill and they maybe looked at each other and they did not follow his orders. And then he's like, guys, like being more emphatic, like, listen to me, like you said, or don't make me tell you again. Purdue RN says True Crime Web is working with Evansdale family to review the case. Stay tuned. Yeah, some people, these are two young girls who were, I think, I mean, they're definitely younger than Abby and Libby. They went out, they were cousins. They went out for a bike ride and they were both killed and it remains unsolved. Fiona says, I bet the political infighting in the sheriff's office and possibly with other agencies has hindered the investigation. There's definitely been speculation as to whether this has been handled properly, but I think Indiana State Police has been very involved, not just the sheriff's office. Armchair Observer says, no way Bridge Guy could contain two active teens by himself, let alone while walking down a hill. Yeah, that's still, the hill was very steep. Bridge Guy was herding the girls to others who are lying in wait down the hill. But if he had a gun, I mean, it's like if you're an eighth grade girl and some strange guy walks up to you and says, do what I say, and here's my gun, it's unlikely they're going to do anything that would put themselves in danger. Phoebe wonders if there were any witnesses who saw Bridge Guy sitting on that bench at the Mears parking lot. I don't know that there was anybody who was really on the trails between that time frame because it seems like those four teenage girls, I think they were on the lower trail. They did not do the Monon High Bridge. So I think those four girls were walking back. I don't know what Bridge Guy was doing down by Freedom Bridge at 127. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Hopefully. Paper Chaser says Rick has had almost 6 years to craft the story he will give if he's ever apprehended. Well, I think he's saying I'm innocent. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to hear. Like, hopefully, we'll find out what kind of police interview he has. Hopefully, Murder Sheet will leak it. USA Libertarian says Rick could have been lurking on the Anthony Shots or other apps and simply known of the teens' plans to be at the bridge that day. Yeah, well, some people said Kagan was talking to this other girl, and there might have been some tension. I guess Libby and this girl had a sleepover party where they were both talking to Anthony Shots, and there might have been some kind of, I don't want to say rivalry, but they both wanted maybe Anthony Shots' attention, which may have caused some friction. So it could have been possible that this other girl, not that she was like involved or trying to, like she knew what was going to happen. She could have said, oh yeah, Libby is going to be at the trails on Monday afternoon without Libby specifically saying to Anthony Schatz, I'm going there this afternoon. And Kagan could have told Rick, I don't know, this is all speculation. Yeah, I agree, Rob. I don't think Rick Allen would have tracked the girls unless he somehow knew that they were alone. Obviously, he wanted them to get out of the way of the bridge and over across the creek to do whatever he had to do because you never know who's going to be showing up on that bridge. Thanks, Orion. Hi, Brenda. Yeah, Rick denying involvement is typical. There aren't that many guys or women who seem to say, yeah, I'm guilty. Obviously, Garrett Kurtz did in his murder trial, and Brian Chadwell, who somebody put under my first video, I'm 97% sure that Brian Chadwell did it, and you need a new hobby. So it looks like you're 97% wrong. Anyway. Bonnie says, can you get various satellite pics of the Patty's house that day, Tobe Lesenby's house that day, the police station that day, the courthouse that day, the fire department that day, every officer's placement? I only have two satellite images. One is like the left side of Delphi, of the left side of Hoosier Heartland Highway, and then the right. I showed in my previous two lives Rick's house on the day of the murders at 12:58, and It looks like there might be some white object in his driveway, but it's so blurry. They're honestly kind of useless. So no, Bonnie, I can't do that. It's on my website. If you go to tomwebster.com/Delphi, I have all my case files and I think my satellite images should be up there, but like I said, it's so blurry, it's kind of pointless. Actually, let me share it real quick. I need to take a drink, and I don't want people looking at me when I'm drinking water in my Taco Bell drive-through cup that's like 5 years old. So let me just show this real quick. Give me a second. Oh, I'm not showing that. Hold on. So for people who don't know, when I first looked at this a year and a half ago, I tracked down a satellite image of Delphi at 12:58 on the day of the murders to see if I could figure out what kind of car was that CPS building. Hold on. And so this is just, I cropped this the other day. I wanted to look and see. Let me take myself off the camera. Hold on, I'll zoom in. All right, let me take this off. All right, so hopefully you can see this. So this is Rick's driveway. Let me zoom in even more. Like I said, it's so blurry. So as you can see here, if you look on Google Maps for Rick's house, I did that in my 7-minute video. I showed over several years what his driveway looked like, and there's nothing really white in his driveway. Here, it looks like there's something white, but also there's like white stuff out here. So like I said, I mean, it doesn't really show anything. I don't know that they even had a white car that would have been in his driveway on the day of the murders, and it was possible that he could have just walked over there. So that's that. You're headed to Maui for 2 weeks. Have fun. On my channel, I have Maui travel tips if you want to watch them or not. And also Oahu. If anybody ever goes to Oahu or Maui, I have some tips on my channel. Julia says, would the probable cause affidavit itself been enough for an arrest, or would they have had to find incriminating evidence during the search of his home? I think the way it works is they have some kind of suspicion and they say to a judge, we need to look in his house for this or that. And then I think they have to find something in the house that says, okay, we think he has an involvement in this case. But I'm not too sure how this works, so don't quote me. Anna says investigators have withheld something on the audio to use at trial, although they also said because only the killer would know what else was on that audio. But it's like, is Rick really going to say, oh, yeah, this is what else I said? Because he's saying he's innocent. Hi, Illegally Blonde. The picture of Abby on the bridge looks like there's a man in the woods in the background. That's what it looks like, but it's been disproved. I don't know if you're talking about the entrance, which there's a gate, so that's not a person. And then off to the right of the bridge, people have shown other pictures of the woods, and that same like protrusion from the tree is there. So it's not true. Sorry. Oh my gosh. N says if Tony Klein was there, there would be half footprints. He didn't get his foot amputated until after. And Gulf War says one thing I've noticed by reading all of these comments is that people seem to not be happy with the way law enforcement has handled this case. There's like a million posts online about people not happy with it, but at least we're making progress, hopefully. Hi, LGW. Thanks for watching. Do you think they could have parked a car along the private road? No, I do not. Because there's been speculation. Obviously, there under the bridge, there's a private driveway and there's a few houses back there. And there's a rumor that one of the residents saw some creepy looking guy, I think around 12:30 that day. Her husband may have came out. Like I said, this is just rumor. They may have come out and like told him to leave. And somebody said the guy like growled back at them. I don't know if it was Richard Allen or somebody else. So then that couple, I think, went to town. So if they had driven from the private drive out to like the town of Delphi, they would have seen a suspect's car on that very narrow private drive. So I do not think anybody involved in this parked on that private road, but I could be wrong. Oops, sorry. Gangster Computer God says prosecutors make the decision on when there's enough evidence to move forward. The police don't determine that. All right, thank you. Purdue RN is repeating what prosecutor Nick said. The case has strong evidence against Rick being involved. Like I said, that latest letter that he released on the 23rd says involved, not exactly he is the murderer. All right, it's been 2 hours. How much longer are you guys going to make me go? I'll go one more hour. Goody's Gumdrop says Rick's lawyer mentioned a podcast when talking about the PCA. Don't know why nobody is reporting on this. I said previously, because I think he said that people are already contacting him, the defense lawyer, with information that say Rick is not guilty. So, I mean, it could be some random YouTube channel who, I mean, I have not contacted them, but he said that he's not familiar with Kagan Klein, and somebody said he needs to watch my 4.5 hour video to catch up. Anna says there may be strong evidence in the case, but Kagan, Tony, and the former FBI who go on media to say or to insist that Ron Logan is still the best suspect equals reasonable doubt for the jury. Hopefully, there's enough actual evidence, Anna, at the trial that I don't even know. Does it have to be unanimous to get some kind of conviction? I might look stupid for saying that, but I've never been on trial. Susie says if the girls thought Anthony Shots would be there on the trails that day, why would Libby ask Kelsey to come with them? I agree, but she knew that Kelsey had to go to work and that Kelsey would probably say, "Oh no, I can't. I can only drop you off." But I've said previously, if she thought she was Libby thought she was meeting this hot 19 or 20-year-old guy, would she really be wearing sweatpants? I mean, you would think she would not want to like meet at a trail, although it is obviously private. So I don't know. Anna says, was said Libby was connected to the Anthony Shots money account, but nothing has ever been said about money actually being sent. I think the direct quote from the 2020 police interview was, "We have the Anthony Shots money account going to Libby." I'm not certain on that, though. Yo, Josh. This is a good point. It's about the effing music. By saying, quote, she didn't show up, isn't Kagan placing himself at the scene? Well, we don't know which scene because it was never confirmed by him saying she never showed up. Which day or which location was he talking about? And if police are saying that Kagan was on his phone in Peru the afternoon of the murders, like, I don't know, did he maybe go to Delphi earlier in the day and then he went to Peru? I don't know. I mean, Libby could have said at some point, "Oh, I'm going to the trails Monday morning." I don't know. Brian thinks the sketch of the young guy might be person and decoy that got the girls out there. Well, people think a lot of different things about that young guy sketch. Some people think it was a DNA composite of like they took DNA from the crime scene and they used like Parabon labs to figure out like what kind of facial features he would have. Or people thought maybe it was the friend Libby's friend describing Anthony shots. I don't know. Isn't the CVS Rick worked at near the McDonald's? I believe so. Hi, Precy. Megan says, why do you think they even released the Kegan interview with police? That was weird. Well, the police didn't reveal it. Murder Sheet somehow got their hands on it and released it. Some people are speculating that Murder Sheet is working with law enforcement and it was kind of like a distraction. I don't know, for Rick to think that they were looking at the Klein's angle, but it's like, I don't know, that doesn't add up to me. I don't think like Indiana State Police is like, let's find this random podcast because they weren't even that like famous before December 2021 when this all came out. So I don't know that I believe that. Brian says, I honestly feel the cops should look at Mr. X because that guy was fishy. I think you're referring to Orange Truck Guy, also initials PB, which a lot of people have speculated that he was the killer. And I mean, he never got arrested. So he was the guy who apparently knocked on Ron Logan's house the night they went missing at 6:30 or something and said, the girls are missing. Can we start searching for them in the woods behind here? There's a rumor that he lost his keys and couldn't move his truck. He apparently was in the search party the following day also, and he saw two deer. I guess he was on the south side of the creek. He saw two deer. I don't know if he used his cell phone to kind of use the camera or photo function to zoom in. And I think he said he saw clothing, and then they obviously called to somebody else and they found the girls. But I mean, I'm really curious to know how the crime scene was processed after that, because if they know exactly where they are, you would think that you would hope that they follow a good procedure to not mess up the crime scene. Rambro says someone who worked with him at Target or Walmart took a pic of him smiling at work. Yeah, I've not seen that one yet. People before we talk about Pam, the profile, I don't know if you mean Pat Brown, because she definitely has done more videos, I guess, than Pam, the profiler. But I know people disagree with what Pat said about Rick is a serial killer just because he killed 2 girls at once. I have no thoughts on that. Hi, KT. Oh, yeah, so yes, Pat, not Pam. Whoops. Pat Brown says Rick has most likely murdered before. Well, I guess we'll find out, hopefully, if his DNA is now in the system, they can maybe match him up to some other unsolved crimes. Lauren says, this is your comment to tell you to skip to the current comment so you're not so far behind. All right, I'm going to skip a bunch of people. Sorry. Hundreds of comments for nothing. Sorry. I don't know what this is about, but Joshua said, y'all watch too many movies. And what is it called? Law and Order? 48 Hours? My contacts are starting to fall off my eyes. I'm a lawyer. Are you the guy from TMZ? Wrong to say attorneys can't represent clients who admit guilt. Always remember the question at trial is not whether the defendant did it, but if sufficient evidence proves guilt. That's a good point to remind people of. And this is a good point, Joshua. If anyone was pregnant, it would have been 3 counts of murder. Good point, Josh. Tamara says, Rick told a park ranger, maybe a friend, he had been at the bridge. Why didn't the ranger pass that information on to detectives/authorities? Well, it was obviously in the case file in some fashion, but yeah, I don't know why. I think it was Kim Riley, who was a former spokesperson at the beginning of this case. Or it might have been Doug Carter, but somebody at some point said, we've accounted for everybody on the trails that day except for the guy on the bridge. But it's like, well, Rick was one of those people on the trails. Why did you not look at him more? It's like, he's a guy who fit the description. How many people on the trails that day fit the bridge guy description other than Rick? It's crazy to me. I don't know what you're referring to, Lisa. Lisa said that was President's Day on Monday and no school or no bus that day. But the weekend of these murders, the Friday and Monday were like snow days because I guess it was mild in Indiana. So the school system said the kids did not have school on Friday or Monday that entire weekend because of like snow not falling. The Rockaway says, I think the police are trying to deflect blame by saying it was a conservation officer who blew the case when we all know it was Tobe Laserbeam's fault. Yeah, it's like, why did Rick go to a conservation officer when the CVS he works at is very close to the Carroll County Sheriff's Office? It's like, maybe he didn't go there because he didn't want even more attention to be like walking into the police station like, hi, I was there, but please don't investigate me. Kevin says, where's True Crime Jesus when you need him? He's probably out geocaching. Oh, he had some interesting videos, and I have nothing against him. This account says, "I'm almost always wrong in speculation theory, so just take it for what it's worth." Yeah, ditto. Oh my gosh. So there's some talk about, like, lawyers having to, like, keep information confidential. A lawyer who knows a client is guilty can take steps to prevent the state from proving guilt. They just need to prove reasonable doubt, not innocence. I don't know. Like I said, I think this whole case is in for a lot of roller coasters over the next few months, years even. And if people are sure like it's going to end up with a guilty verdict, I think a lot of us are going to be really upset if nobody's held accountable for this. Sorry, Phoenix, you did this 50 minutes ago. I appreciate that. Thank God I found you. That's the Mariah song. But thank you for donating. I really appreciate it. And anybody else who I've not gotten to yet, thank you. Hi, Jessica. Happy Saturday. I'm so confused about which day it is. We still have one more day to the weekend. This account, why is the public not being warned if another individual actor is involved? 8 question marks. Yeah, I mean, well, they said the public was not in danger when this first happened. It's like Rick is a mile and a half away. He's the local CVS checkout guy. A Prey says Tony is involved somehow. They're squeezing everyone around him. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking. Thank you for joining from the boat behind me, Mark. Junior says if the lawyer knows you're guilty, they'll start looking for procedural mistakes the police might have made to get the case thrown out. Yeah, well, I think there's been a lot of mistakes made in this case, and hopefully the prosecutor isn't currently making them. Come on, people. Ski Mask Guy is just a third lone wolf who was after these girls. There's literally no connection to Rick and Keggy. Yeah, I mean, there was never any police report, at least that's online, about Ski Mask incident, and some people say that's because she was a minor, so I don't know that that's true, but why would the police have even brought that up talking to Kegan? There's obviously similarities. People, when they were thinking that Tony Klein was involved in this, Tony apparently does not work on Monday, so people said on Monday the 13th he could have murdered the girls, and on Monday the 20th he could have done Ski Mask incident. I'm not saying Tony was involved. I don't know one way or the other. Hi, Tony. I did, yeah. So I think some people watched my 4.5 hour video, the deep dive on Delphi, where I wasted so much time looking into Kegan and Tony. But at the end, after I did my reasons for and against them, I cannot definitively say that I think that was Tony or Kegan, at least on the bridge. Whether they had some other kind of interaction with Rick or this killing, I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen. This account says soft wording of using the term actor. I'd call that an accomplice at minimum, and the public needs to know the facts about this person's risk to the general public. Yes, like why do they think somebody else is involved, but they have not arrested that person? And I wonder what that probable cause is going to reveal, if it's even revealed. Are they going to say, oh, wait, there's a third person, so we can't reveal this one either? All right, let me skip through some more. Sorry. LC says the prosecution should have argued for redacted version instead. Do you mean the defense? If they don't find culprits come trial, defense will run with it. Oh, so you're saying they think there's somebody else involved. What happens if they never actually arrest a second person? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Bad says, my gut says they will have to move the trial to another county, and my gut says he is involved. God forgive me if I'm wrong. People are saying, how could he get a fair trial in Carroll County? But it seems like a lot of people in Indiana would be familiar with this case also. Mark says, I need to bring on a lawyer for my next live stream. When is my next live stream? Get the Indiana attorney that does all those short YouTube videos, Mark Lopez. So I had sent a message to Robert Ives, the former prosecutor, 2 weeks ago, asking if he wanted to join. And like me, he's probably mortified by my YouTube channel. I also sent an email to, I think her name's Jody Madera. She's been on local Indiana news stations lately, and she was also mortified by me and my channel. So they didn't reply back to me. Yeah, I agree. I'd like to have somebody who's more knowledgeable than me, but nobody wants to show up. Nikki wants to know, is Rick left-handed or right-handed? I'm not sure. Bonnie made the most of her celery for Thanksgiving, so that's good to know. Hi, TTM fangirl. Remember, an officer said early on, keep in mind you can't see what's to the left or right of Libby's video. I think they know there are at least two perps this way, but they also said that the guy on the bridge was the voice on the recording. At first I thought they said keep unsubscribing, everybody. I need new contacts. There's some debate about what their motive for this was. Yeah, I'm just shocked that some 44-year-old guy, Rick, was on these trails early afternoon on a Monday. I mean, like I said, there were quite a few other people out there. It's the day before Valentine's Day. Like, what is he out there doing or doing out there? Shane Evans is bridge guy. Watch when the other shoe drops, who is also involved. Well, it seems like the police said that Rick was the bridge guy. And how does the mayor of the town conspire with Rick and possibly Kagan also? I know the police said in Kagan's interview, your Dropbox account has led to one of the biggest CSAM investigations in Indiana history. People, I think, assumed that meant the total number of other men who were accessing it, but it could have been the total number of files that were in his Dropbox. Obviously, he apparently did share the information with other men, but I don't know that there's been any confirmation that those other guys have been arrested in Indiana or other locations. Phoenix, thank you very much. Didn't you just give before? Thank you, though. Yeah, I don't think Shane Evans is involved, just to be clear. I know people said at that first press conference where he's in the background, people thought he had a weird look on his face, but I don't think so. Especially, it's like he was the mayor of that town. So you could assume that most people, even teenagers, knew what the town's mayor looked like. It's a very small town. So did anybody who's actually on the trail say, "Oh yeah, I saw our mayor"? It does not seem like that is true. So sorry. Oh my gosh. Some people don't know about the jet ski, so I don't want to confuse people. There is no jet ski. The killer did not escape the creek on a jet ski. Is it time to wrap this up? I don't know. Anna thinks evidence and the crime scene were altered during the searches for the girls. I could also imagine lazy Kegan finding the scene and saying, "Cool, a snuff film without all the work." How would Kegan even find that area? Sorry, Luna, that you're spending your time here. I'm just going over the same stuff, it seems like. Tamara thinks the girls were lured to the bridge. The cemetery is significant. I mean, I think there was an older guy working at the cemetery that day, and he, I think, showed up on the news. There's only like one segment where this older guy showed up, and for people who are familiar, I think it's the guy who's like blowing a trumpet or something in a news story. He may have been a witness as to somebody, but I don't know if it was somebody over by the cemetery or not. SP-74, do you really think crossing the creek was part of the plan? I mean, I would think anybody who had something sinister planned would want to get them out of view of the creek, or sorry, of the Monon High Bridge. So it's not like they could have walked really. I mean, I guess they could have walked in the opposite direction down that path, and that would have been out of view. But what happens if one of those residents came back driving down, and they would have seen like a guy with these two girls who may have asked for help? So that part of Ron Logan's across from the creek is probably the best area to do something nefarious like this. But even like a killer, it's like, do you really want to cross a cold creek in February? I know some images of the creek show that it was shallow, but if you saw the helicopter footage from the day after on the 14th, there were like 6 searchers who were walking, I guess, looking for the girls' bodies possibly in the water, and they were up to their waist. So I don't know what this plan was. It's possible. Phoenix, thank you. Do I have to show myself drinking from my Taco Bell cup? All right, since you donated $1.99, here we go. This is my Taco Bell drive-through cup. And no, this is not vodka. Is it time to end this yet? Yo, from London, Ellie Joe. Did you have shepherd's pie for dinner? That was stupid. We'll delete that. Oh my gosh, Gene. If the jeans don't fit, you must have quit. Oh my gosh. Gangster computer god, keep Wendy's big cups for water. You like squishy cups. Yeah, so this is interesting. Phoenix. I personally think Rick killed to keep the catfishing situation from coming out and destroying his family, etc. So I had speculated, was Kegan's or Tony's identity somehow revealed in these CSAM Anthony Shaw's discussions with either the ski mask girl and or Libby? But to me, it didn't really seem like Libby figured out that this was a catfishing account, because the police said Libby was talking to Anthony Schatz on the morning of the murder. So I would think whoever accessed Libby's account would have seen those previous chats, and the tone of the chats would have been suspicious. And Kelsey, who saw it, said they weren't really that suspicious. So I don't know. How could Rick's identity have been revealed to Libby where he thought she needed to be killed? I don't know. Koala the Best says, is it possible that Libby ran from the kill site back across the creek, and that's when she lost her shoe? Didn't they find undergarments in the water? Also, I read once she had water in her lungs. I think the murder site was it 50 yards from the north side of the creek? So I don't think she ended up where she was stabbed, I think. Didn't they find undergarments in the water? I think on the police scanner, it was mentioned that they may have found undergarments in the water. But it's like, I don't know, people are wondering if a souvenir was taken or not, or how would that underwear have gotten to the water? I don't know. I've never heard about having water in the lungs. Phoenix, thank you for your donations. You don't have to give anymore. You can't stop, quit your job and do this. No, I'm not doing that, but thank you. USA Libertarian, how typical is 3 to 5 months for a bond hearing? It seems like really long. It's like, why could they not decide within a week? And that's a month before his trial is supposed to start. So it's like, we'll let you out for a week, or sorry, a month. Patty says Rick worked at Walmart near the other 2 younger girls on bikes, which is the Evansdale murders. I think they should look at him for murder of them. Well, if his DNA was found at that crime scene, obviously they would. I heard that he got transferred to Illinois, but I'm not sure exactly where it was. Or I forget which time it was. I don't know if it was that. No, I don't know when that was. Sorry, I'm just going through comments. Tom N, I haven't seen you in a while. How's your golf game? Love your scuba gear deep dives. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you coming back. Joey Tata or Tata, Patata. Did Rick have access to CVS photo uploads? The app accesses photo library. Are you suggesting that he could see like everybody in town what they're uploading on from their phones? I don't know. I mean, I guess if he really is somebody who's into younger girls, was he looking at, I don't know, how many people are really going to CVS to print out photos nowadays? I don't know. I think only the family did it because they needed like larger than something that they could do on a home printer. Scott says, so Rick is 46 years old, never any complaints by ex-girlfriends or ex-workers. He was a player for little kids. So he was 44 at the time of the murders. He's 50 now. Apparently he was high school sweethearts with his wife, and they both were 19 at the time of the murder. So I don't know what his dating history is. His ex-coworkers online, I'm not sure if it's legit or not, but they said overall, I think they said he was fairly normal. Some people said he may have had a bad temper, but I don't know. Alma says, people assume they crossed the creek. Boy, are you all in for a surprise. Well, surprise, in the Ron Logan document, they said that their bodies are found 50, like I said, 50 yards north of the creek. And also there was yellow tape on the north side of the creek, the crime scene tape. There wasn't any on the south side. That's my reaction to that. Hell no. Um, how many children's photos did Rick obtain at CVS? Did he share? Oh, that's a good point. But like I said, I mean, people would only be sending their photos that they would probably want enlarged, because I think most people have like a home printer and photo paper. And also, I don't know how many people are really printing photos these days when you can have them all on your phone. True Crime Maria says the Illinois Walmart he worked at is about 4.5 hour drive to Evansdale, Iowa, not close at all. Oh yeah, so Evansdale is in Iowa, not Illinois. Hi, Kelly. A post on Reddit that was by a girl that had worked with Rick at Walmart, and she just made a few comments about how sweet his wife was and that he was a little bit shady slash fishy. The simulation says ISP uses CVS to process crime scene photos. I wouldn't be surprised. Are you sure? I mean, I doubt, like, why would they be sending confidential crime scene photos to CVS when they could just buy their own printer? And why, I guess they have to print them out maybe for case files, but I'm not saying you're wrong, but that seems like a bad practice to me. Scott says, how in the heck would Kegan not be charged with Rick if he were connected to the crime? Zero chance. Yeah, I mean, Kegan's in jail, so why would they not? Maybe they're working on negotiations where his CSAM and any involvement in Delphi will be lowered by him saying Rick is involved. But why would he not say Rick was involved in 2017? And people said, why, when Kegan was arrested, or it came out in December of 2021 about Kegan and Anthony Schatz, if Rick was involved somehow, why was he still keeping stuff related to the crime scene at his home, knowing that Kegan might start saying, oh yeah, Rick Allen, he's the one who did it. Oh my God. Joey Tata owns the Peach Pit from Beverly Hills 90210. I think lots of people make photo cards and stuff. All right. Kelly is really interested in Rick's wife's reaction to the full 43-second bridge clip audio video. I hope the police do that. Yeah, I don't know how much. I guess they might be interviewing his wife to see exactly what he was like at this time of the murders and stuff like, and after and stuff like that. Hi, Jessica. Tom N watches everything. My schedule doesn't allow me much time at night. Well, my theory is they knew Rick for a while now, but were at a dead end road with how to tie him to the crime. Well, why did they not get a search warrant before October 13th? I don't know. It's like what changed since then? But thank you, Tom. More from Tom. All digital technology these days end in 2017. Yeah, I don't know. Remember Becky said Derek, Libby's dad, she needed to get some pics for an appraisal. Are those done professionally or not? I mean, I would assume it's a lot more cost effective to have a home printer than to keep going to CVS, but most of the stuff is done online. If she's doing home appraisals, it's like it goes on an online listing. Nobody's really, I guess, printing photos unless it's for an open house or something. I'm not sure exactly what Becky's job was related to home appraisals. All right, 25 more minutes or less. Gulf War says the fact that the name Richard Allen never came up on any podcast or media in over 5 years is proof that we have no idea what law enforcement knows. I agree with that. Some people recently have been saying that on 4chan, somebody said Richard was the suspect about, I don't know if it was in 2019 or something like that. Other people said the name Richard was just like kind of a joke. So that's not confirmed. I know there was some psychic that people were saying, oh, she said the names Richard and Allen in one of her live chats or whatever, where she's doing a live psychic reading. But I watched one of her previous Delphi live psychic readings, and she said 100 other things that were untrue. So is it impressive that she said that were the names Richard and Allen? Yes, but like I said, like she said 100 other things that were wrong. No shade, or maybe it's kind of shady. All right, this is why I raised my eyebrows. Rick is guilty and involved. Off with his head. Well, maybe we should hear the full evidence first, and then he can get the death penalty. So I looked online, and the last time somebody was executed in Indiana for the death penalty was in 2009. So if you're thinking he's going to get killed anytime soon, think again. Aunt Deanie, do we know if the picture of Rick's daughter, are you talking on the bridge, was before or after the crime? Maybe he's reliving the crime with a pic of his daughter. So creepy. Yeah. So on, I guess, his wife's Facebook, there was a picture of a black and white photo, I think, of his daughter at the beginning of the Monon High Bridge. I think she's like laying down. Some people said it might have been like a graduation photo. And she got married in just, or no, I think November of 2017. So I'm not certain how old Rick's daughter was at the time of the murders, or if that picture was before or after the crime. But if she was getting engaged or married the same year of the murders, I was going to say that assume that she was younger, but her parents got married at 19. So I'm not sure, Aunt Deanie. Trish Norman heard from a police YouTube channel that that photo is from before the murders. Okay, so Rose says that picture was way earlier. She is 28 now, 21 when this happened. Thank you, Rose. We're into a discussion about how expensive printer ink is online. Yeah, my printer caused me a lot of agita too. Tom, no, seriously, Tom, you've given me way too much money. I really appreciate it, but please stop. I feel bad. I think Kagan gave law enforcement the alias. Oh, yeah, this is interesting. Thank you for bringing it up, Tom. Hold on, let me read your thing first before I say what I think. I think Kagan gave law enforcement the alias Craig. So Craig Renfro showed up as an alias when Rick was arrested. In some legal document, it says his alias was Craig Renfro. Last name is Renfro, not his middle name. That's all that Kagan knew Rick by. That led law enforcement to a dead end. I think they did not arrest him or do the search because they did not want to draw a blank on the search and key him off. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it seems odd that an alias Craig Renfro was listed as being an alias for Rick. People have looked online, and there is a guy in Indiana who has that exact name with the H at the end of Craig. I don't know. Jamie thinks Kegan did not say Rick was involved because he was in jail for CSAM, not murder, and mentioning Rick may implicate him in the murder. Yeah, but I mean, police are trying to implicate his dad or him. Don't you think he would say, okay, I did not actually kill them. I was only involved this way. So give me some kind of plea deal where I don't actually like get in trouble for this murder. I don't know. Kegan, I don't understand his thought process, and I guess that's a good thing. A lot of talk about photos and stuff. Tom, once they make an arrest, Rick has a right to a speedy trial. If law enforcement isn't ready for court, they won't make an arrest. Yeah, but why? Like I said, the police are saying, or the prosecutor says, we're still conducting our investigation, so we can't release the PCA. So why did they arrest Rick when they weren't finished with the investigation? I don't understand that. Were they afraid that because he was suspicious that they had searched his house on October 13th, that he was going to maybe flee or something? I don't know. Jay says it's obvious that Kegan is involved with giving info for Alan to the police. The police did not just magically find Alan out of the blue. Well, the rumor is that I think there's so many rumors. Oh my God, half my arm is missing. I mean, obviously in August, there was some action going on in this case. People wondered, did Kegan finally start telling the truth? So law enforcement then searched the Wabash River because Kegan said, me and my dad were involved. And as we were coming back, we threw out over the Wabash River close to the client's house a cell phone and or a knife. So there's a lot of stuff that happened around this August timeframe that leads people to believe that Kegan started revealing information, but apparently the police did not find a cell phone or a murder weapon in the river after 5 weeks. So I just don't know what to think. Gangster Computer God says Richard on 4chan was a joke. It was used as a generic white middle-aged man name. Kegan claimed to be a photographer. Yes. Was it Klein Photography? Like I only saw that in one Jeep photo from their Colorado trip. And also, actually, yeah, wasn't Kegan's YouTube profile username Klein Photography or something? Rick developed film. Maybe the girls were lured for a photo shoot of some sort. That's what I speculated about that at some point, but I don't know that it's true. SP's son is a house appraiser. It's all digital. Yeah, I assume that. It's like, why are you wasting money when you can just do it online? Phoenix, thank you, but that's enough from you. Thank you, though. I don't mean to seem like unappreciative, but I don't like people really spending a lot of money giving to me. But thank you. Oh my gosh. Stritch 9? I don't know what. Bridge guy did not leave on a jet ski. That's preposterous. He left by a jetpack. That's why clothing was missing. It was burned in the jetpack. Yeah, some people said that the killer brought what did he bring? Some kind of like bag to put any kind of bloody clothing in. But I mean, is Rick really like taking off his jeans in the woods at 2:30, hoping nobody sees? I don't know. I know that sounds stupid by me, but I don't know. Obviously, he doesn't want to leave a bloody murder scene on the trails with blood all over his clothes. So I'm curious to know, were those apparent sightings either by arguing couple guy or maybe even flannel shirt guy true after the murders? Have they been able to identify Rick as that guy that they passed? Yeah, this was another thing. Mark says, I read that the Richard mentioned on 4chan was an autocorrect that was supposed to be rich as in wealthy. No idea of the context though. Tattoo you thought, so Rick's daughter, I guess, got engaged. I'm thinking the daughter's marriage and moving out could have been a trigger for him. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong, but like what? He's going to kill some girl. Some people have speculated that he may have been, this is total speculation. I'm not saying he did this, that he was maybe abusing his daughter and he tried to abuse Libby because she looked like him. And I don't know. There's just a random rumor that somebody, or motive somebody thought of. Sandra thought Indiana executed 2 people last year. I mean, I Googled Indiana and death penalty, and I'm pretty sure it said 2009 was the last time somebody got killed for the death penalty. Hi, Gregory. I've never been to Indiana, so I've not walked across Monon High Bridge, and I never would. I mean, first of all, it was so rickety. I don't think it should have even been open to anybody to walk past that bridge. Also, now at this point, I don't like to be in a location where something bad has happened previously. So, I mean, I would just, there's no way I would stand where those girls stood when they had so much fear. I read this and I thought you were going to say, seems like lots of sociopaths in this chat. Hopefully, there's not too many. Oh, yeah. So, somebody, I previously said that people online um, have said, I have autism, I have Asperger's, schizoid something. And then recently, I've been compared to Jeffrey Dahmer and Mark Allen Carr, who was the one who falsely said he was involved with John Bonet. So I highly suggest getting your own YouTube channel so you can get lovely comments from people. It's a good thing I have a sense of humor. Shafir, there is a video of Richard Allen walking, and he has a very similar walk to BG, with one of the feet slightly staggering. Wonder if Kagan dropped Tony off, Rick was BG, and Tony did the killing. So the second half of that is possible. But if you're referring to the Facebook video on Rick's wife's Facebook for like the July 4th fireworks, I think that guy who was walking is not Rick. It was some other guy, just to clarify. So I've never seen a video of Rick walking other than at the pool hall at the bar. Hi, Mrs. M. I'm behind as usual, but hi. You miss Alma or me? I'm behind as usual, so we have something in common. Oh my gosh, these escape theories. Maybe they were, law enforcement was scared that Rick would burn evidence. Well, there's a rumor that law enforcement showed up and then the neighbor saw him burning stuff and they went back. I don't know if that's true. There's so many rumors. So then how does Rick come up more recently? We need this paperwork, please, Judge. There are so many rumors and some facts for once and for all. After 5 years would be great. Well, I think we just have to wait for the trial. Trish says if they've arrested him, then they should have enough to proceed to trial. Obviously, if they've waited all this time to finally try and find somebody who did this, my shirt, oops, not that way. They're not going to just arrest somebody and hope for the best. So we just have to wait and see which kind of evidence they have. Oh my gosh, I'm mortified right now. Tom, I make 1,600 a day, so a couple bucks to support content I love is not that big of a deal. They have enough to nail RA. Watch. All right, thank you, Tom. Somebody get a calculator. What is 365? I'm gonna do it right now. Hey Siri, what is 1,600 times 365?
1,600 times 365 is 584,000.
Wow. Are you getting that by golfing and betting people and you beat them on the golf course? Are you wondering how I know that you're a golfer, Tom? I saw your Reddit screen name somewhere. TD, hi, how are you? Where are you? If Alan did not work alone, sorry, I have a crazy sense of humor. If Alan did not work alone, why is he not snitching the other people out? Good point. I mean, like I said, if people or the prosecutors, or not the prosecutors, the defense attorneys are going to be going over this case with him. And I guess whenever it comes out who this other person is, maybe Rick is going to start saying, okay, yeah, let's make a deal, Monty Python. Hi, Debbie. Thank you, everybody, for joining internationally, at least. Not to the people who are in the US. Kelly says, I can't wait to hear how the heck the alias is related. I know, I'm really curious. Good theory, Tom, too. Can we list all the reasons law enforcement or the prosecutor have said they cannot release PCA? It grows, and I don't understand why. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not making a PowerPoint on that. Yeah, didn't Joey Tata recently die from Beverly Hills 90210? Luckily, Joey is still around to join my chat. It's so crazy to think a guy arrested for killing teens might also be involved in trading CSAM. Is that sarcastic? No, Tony did not get his foot amputated until more recently. And also, Kagan said that Tony is looking to retire soon, but he's like 50 something. I don't know how he's going to retire. To a jail cell? I don't know. Annie thinks we are onto something. What are we onto? I must have missed it in the chat. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining as always. I have never joined anyone or bought anything online, but I am going to get a card so I can join yours soon. All right, thank you. I'm going to be selling Tom's telescopes so you can spy on your neighbors when police look through their stuff. Debbie says maybe law enforcement found pictures in Rick's house from the crime scene, which, I mean, that's crazy to me. How's he hiding it from his wife? I'm not saying that you're wrong. Law enforcement always said that there was a chance Bridge Guy took pictures or filmed the crime scene. Yeah, I don't know why somebody would really have this stuff laying around their house. I think you're talking about somebody else, but okay. Big fish, small pond. I know you. Oh my gosh. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I was going to let people join, but I just said I'm ending in 7 minutes. It's been almost 3 hours. So, yeah, when is my next live chat? Hopefully, I mean, I know everybody wants this evidence and PCA released. If there's some decent evidence to talk about, I guess I will do a live chat. I don't know if it's going to be the same night or I think this Saturday time works the best for everybody internationally. Like 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time. I know people last night joined from Australia. It's like 4 a.m. Eastern time right now, or 4 a.m. Australia. So, oh well, that's what they get for living in Australia. Yeah, I don't know when my next chat is going to be, but I will try to warn people. I have a community page, and I think if you subscribe to me, when you log into the YouTube app, it'll show when anybody subscribed to has made a community post, and I'll say, okay, the PCA was released. I'll do a chat either tonight or next Saturday. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we already talked about this. No offense, but I read Libby's dad snitched on a drug dealer. Were you? Never mind. Drug dealer and the murder was payback. I hope not, though. Yeah, that was that Ashley Garth theory, and it does not seem to really be making sense with Rick being arrested, unless Rick is into drugs also. Eat at, yeah, I can't, you need a new screen name that I can pronounce easier. Happy to pop on live to answer any basic questions on process from a lawyer's perspective, right? Thank you. Yeah, I first started, this is my 10th live chat, which, how did we get here? I first started doing these in June and some trolls used the link to join. I just put it in the general description and some people joined and showed an adult movie. And so it's kind of turned off about letting people join, but it's obviously more interesting than just me, but I don't know. I'm ending this pretty soon. Bridge guy had a lot of clothes on. I think he rolled up his bloody jacket and carried it out. Yeah, he obviously had something on below, either a hoodie, a sweatshirt, or something like that. So if his whatever jacket got bloody, he could have put it into a bag or something that was in his jacket. All right, countdown for 10 more minutes. Wouldn't it be perfect if they released the PCA Monday at 9 a.m.? Give me a chance to recover from this live chat. Oh, yeah, so I did see a picture of this. They are upgrading the bridge, and it is looking way better. Well, I know that the McCains, who flannel shirt guy, his last name is McCain, and he has a brother, and apparently they've been very involved with the trails for a long time, including their mother. And I think it was after the murders, there was some kind of, I don't want to say donation, but like I think it was $1.2 million was put aside for improving the trails and the bridge, which I know True Crime Jesus speculated that it was somehow between, who was it, the archaeologist guy, the professor, and the McCain brothers trying to get money to improve the bridge. So I don't know, they were trying to frame Ron Logan. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like they're making some improvements to the bridge right now. Rhonda says, oh my God, people say the dumbest things. Yeah, she must be talking about me. Hi, Sandy. Thank you for enjoying my input. Not, oops. People, I hope I'm not offending people by correcting your spelling errors, but it's INPUT. My degree is in English, so I have to be somewhat anal retentive about spelling. Debbie wants to know, who were those two women in court, family from Rick? The speculation is his sister, and I don't know who the other woman was. Apparently he said, I love you, and they said, I love you back, but I don't know. Aunt Deanie, yeah, a few people have said, I remind them of Norm Macdonald. Oh my gosh, I can't say that one, Phoenix. Thank you, Precy. Yeah, sorry if I offended anybody with my comments about your spelling or anything like that, but I have to keep it real. Aunt Deanie says Rick is not going to name an accomplice. He would be admitting his own guilt. Well, if they have enough evidence to arrest him, it looks like he's in deep doo-doo. At what point is he going to say, okay, I can't just say I'm innocent anymore. What is the best thing I can do? I mean, I doubt he'd ever get out of jail. But I mean, at least he wouldn't get the death penalty. I don't know who you love or what you're laughing about. Was it something inappropriate I said? Everybody wants money from Tom N. Poor Tom. Tom only works 230 days a year, and yes, Tom Golfer is my handle. See, Sluther Vandross figured that out. Phoenix works 2 days a year when he feels like, well, you should be giving me 199 instead of 199. Kidding. Hi, Delta Dawn. We're ending it pretty soon. I'm hungry. Hookie Bricks Hookie. Thank you for the live stream. I missed 98% of it, but I will watch the whole dang thing tomorrow morning. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, I hope people get something out of this. I feel like I repeat myself over and over again, and it's nice to see a lot of the same people coming back. So I don't know. I think people would just watch me squirm and say inappropriate things. He's still going. I went to AT&T to upgrade a phone and ate lunch. You're a beast. Yeah, I need to go eat something. Oh yeah, so for breakfast I had apple pie with Cool Whip, and for lunch I'm gonna have a Reuben. In case anybody's nosy, I know you're also nosy. Oh my gosh, Stevie Love is late, but Mariah's dress, that's a mermaid dress, girl. True Crime Maria heard it was Rick's mom and sister at the trial. In the live chat, spelling and typo errors are not top priority. If you press enter, it goes out to the world regardless. All right, sorry. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned this. Maybe the bridge is being fixed for a jury to walk the bridge, I guess, to get an idea of the crime scene, but I don't know. Oh my gosh. No, let's be nice, or try to be. I think BG threw the poke flute. What? I think BG threw the poke flute, poke, used to wake up a sleeping Kegan client to get access to the bridge. Oh my gosh, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Yeah, I'm going. How much longer am I going? 5 minutes to 08. Tom N. Petroleum directional drilling engineer. We will learn soon enough how long they have known RA. Yeah, Emily, we can call him that privately, but I try not to curse on this live stream, so I don't feel comfortable saying the D word. Yes, Joey. Somebody early on in Mariah's career said her right side is her best side, and 30 years later, she's still self-conscious about it. Hi, Steve. Greg says, thank you for doing these live chats. You are the only content creator I know who addresses all of the chat's comments. Well, I feel really bad that I miss like 500 of everybody's comments. It's not because I don't agree with you. I mean, I try and do a big mix of comments and different topics and not just keep repeating the same thing. So whatever. But thank you. Humor is the key to life. Yeah, my mom was voted class clown and class wit, so I can't help but thinking of jokes. Phoenix is a nuclear physicist and mathematician, if you guys are curious. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it. I need to film today and finalize that. I want to pronounce your name correctly. Nidia Saka, keep doing what you're doing, Tom. Love from SoCal. Thank you. I appreciate your encouragement and your donation. These comments are laughable. I don't know if you're having fun. My face is getting blushy. Um, 2 more minutes. Yes, go eat. Yeah, so I'm wrapping this up. What's a Reuben? It's rye bread, either Thousand Island or Russian dressing, sauerkraut, either pastrami or corned beef, and I use a panini press to. Oh yeah, and Swiss cheese. It's good. I bought 2 pounds of pastrami, so I'm eating it for the next like week. Hi, Celine. Are you going to talk about the Idaho murders? No, I'm not. Sorry. Hopefully that gets solved soon. It's 4 college kids were killed in their house. All right. That's it, you guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Like I said, my next live chat will be determined probably when the PCA is released and if it has any kind of decent information or evidence for us to talk about, or else I probably won't be doing a live chat. But I will try to give some notice on my YouTube community page with the date and time that I'll be doing it. Thank you to everybody for joining. Thank you to whoever moderated. Hopefully people were nice to each other in the chat. I guess that's it. Hope you do live streams of true crimes. At this point, it's just either this or if there's ever any kind of development in Missy Beaver's case, which I also have a really long video on, then I'll do that. Thanks, Maria. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I do have like one more slice of apple pie, so maybe that'll be tomorrow's breakfast. All right, bye. See you next time.